So right here, what we have here, boys, is Jimbo. RuneScape might actually help WoW Classic. He's going to be interviewing Zaryu, one of my friends.
To the podcast mini-series WoW to Old School, where I'm talking with WoW creators that tried old school RuneScape, see what they thought about it, see what they're thinking about WoW now, and everything in between. Try and understand a little more about those brains of theirs. This last guest of the series is someone who's been extremely proactive when it comes to ideas, especially regarding Classic Plus recently. He really embodies the meaning of wholesome streamer, just a friendly guy, good vibes all around. He's a PvPer, he's a hardcore player, and most importantly, he's an AFK gem crabber. Too much of that last one, probably. I hope you guys enjoy
a lot of that last
this
one.
discussion with Zaryu.
Zar loves the gym crab.
All right, Zaryu, thank you so much for doing this, first and foremost. It's very exciting to finally just be in a one-on-one call. I feel like we were only in 30-man calls during OnlyFans for a second, so it's cool to finally get to talk to you, because we've also communicated a lot through reactions, it seems. I've heard a lot of your opinions on different MMO topics and, you know, WoW topics, so this is going to be very fun to talk about it for real this time.
Absolutely. Yeah, Jimmy, thanks for having me, man. It's an absolute pleasure to be on and just talk about MMOs. They're my favorite thing like ever. So being able to just sit down and chat about RuneScape and WoW and everything in between is sounds like a fun way to spend a Saturday. So let's do it.
Absolutely. So just to get a little background here, how long have you been playing World of Warcraft?
I've been playing since 2004. The game came out in 2004 for reference. So I've been playing the whole time. I've taken little breaks here and there, but pretty much the whole time.
Like launch day.
Zar lied about 99 runecrafting. Guys, is it really a lie if you believe that it's true? Like if you 100% remember that's what happened? You know what I mean? Like if you don't know it's a lie, is it a lie or is it he misremembered? Because some people are like that. They actually, like, there's some people that really think that they're Batman. Like they don't know that they're not. Are they lying, or are they just delusional, or are they just misremembering that they're not Batman? So think about it like that.
Day 2004, or was it like you started hearing everybody else playing, so you're like, I gotta see that now?
I actually don't know the exact like day I started. If I had to guess, it would be like a couple months after the game dropped. So not launch day, but maybe a few months out. I remember on my server, there wasn't a ton.
Oh, Zar played a few months out. Yeah, I've been playing WoW longer than Zar then.
Of level 60s on my server, so like almost everyone was still leveling. And if you saw a level 60, it was pretty cool. Like, wow, this guy's max level. you know, so it was pretty early on to where 60s were rare. But I would
chat misremembers what the best route is for the Iron Man all the time. Yeah, and I'm honestly, guys, like I'm not bald either, so just keep that in mind. I think you guys are just misremembering that I have hair.
Probably a couple months in at least.
Yeah, I remember. You know, there's been a ton of stories about membership, because that was always a big topic for, you know, what MMO you play. And I remember you talking about your system that you had with your parents, and I'll let you tell it of like how you got your WoW membership.
Oh man, so I've shared this story on stream once or twice. I have my old school World of Warcraft box from 2004.
Damn.
I didn't know this. It was my mom's attic the whole time. And my mom was like, hey, do you want this? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. I want it. You know, so she gives it to me or whatever. And I open the box, and in it is a piece of paper. And I unfold the piece of paper, and written on the paper was my 12-year-old handwriting. And it was a contract. And I didn't actually remember this until I saw it. And the contract basically said, you know, I am able to play WoW as long as I don't talk back.
I remember this contract.
Chores and listen to my parents, and I signed it, and my parents signed it, and it was like a little spreadsheet of the payback, right? So I had to like pay my parents back for the box price and for the membership by doing chores and, you know, working on things and stuff like that.
Yeah, Zar the type of guy that had good parents like these. You know what I mean? Zar the type of guy who had parents that taught him life lessons like early on. You know what I mean? Zar the type of guy that got paid for doing chores. You know, he got a good head on his shoulders, and it's all kudos to his parents. You can actually just tell.
and I eventually paid them
Haiku,
back.
thank you for the
There was little
2-monther.
check marks on each little box, and I guess they let me play
Congrats,
for that
congrats,
reason.
Haiku.
So, thank you, mom and dad.
It was an absolute. It was a grind to be able to grind. Basically,
That's right. That's right.
It's crazy. Yeah, no, there was no opportunity for me to have that system at all. It was not even a question. It was a $5 membership to RuneScape or nothing, basically. So, you know, didn't get to play WoW until like 2 years ago for the first time. Didn't have to do any chores for it, which is
It's interesting to hear about a lot of RuneScape versus WoW stuff when you're kids. And the reason that a lot of people are playing RuneScape is because they couldn't afford, or their parents wouldn't buy them as a kid, the WoW membership, which was $15 a month. And the WoW membership has been $15 a month for 20 years. It's never gone up in price. It's always been 15, but $15 back then was like 30 bucks a month now. So like, imagine asking your mom as like a 10-year-old or like 15-year-old or whatever, if you could have a $30 a month membership. They'd be like, hell no, get out of here. And so I understand that. Luckily, my mom, I was able to convince her that that was the only thing I ever wanted to do. And I would never ask her for anything else but that $15 a month membership. And it would give me hours and hours and hours of enjoyment. So I was able to like convince her of that, and she was able to get me WoW. Plus I was the only child, so I was a little bit more spoiled. I didn't have to split costs with like brothers and sisters or anything like that.
which is great. But that's
Well,
awesome.
funny enough, I don't know if you heard about this, but my game before WoW was RuneScape.
I do remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. We'll get into that in a minute.
That's a woodcutting
Yeah,
thing.
no, before WoW, I played RuneScape in like whenever it got popular and came out. What was it, like 2001, 2000? Like,
Yeah, I think like the
Camp Your
version,
Actual,
like,
thank you for
if
the
you're-
3-monther.
So like classic RuneScape was out in 2001, where it was like the sprites characters, like the really just 2D kind of environment. But the version of the game that we see that is based off of, you know, the old school look is like late 2002 and then 2003 when it officially launched. So probably like around there is when you were playing.
yeah, that sounds about right. I remember everyone in my school like was, you know, playing RuneScape and talking about it. I hopped on, and it was just like, that was my first MMO. I'd say RuneScape was the first game I got like really addicted to, and I just played on my mom's computer after school, and then eventually I got my own computer, and it was, oh man, I loved it. I loved RuneScape so much. And I don't want to jump ahead too much here, but I've been looking for an excuse to stream RuneScape on my stream for like, I don't know, 10 years, because I'm like, I would love to play RuneScape on my stream one day. But you know, as a streamer, you got to do things that you want to do, but you also have to do things that other people want to watch, right? Like, it's a mix.
Czar loves RuneScape and Mrs. RuneScape confirmed. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
And so I've always been like eyeing my excuse to hop on RuneScape, and then when all my friends hopped over, I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. Finally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was I mean, we have to talk about it just because it was so funny with the woodcutting thing of like, you had an account back that like that account that you first played, and like I know the feeling of like thinking back to childhood memories, especially with something like RuneScape, where you just think about these grinds that you did within your kid mind, and just thinking that it was so much more intense and like accomplishing than it actually was, when in fact, like, if you just lay it out on the table nowadays, it's like I barely did anything like compared to what people are doing now.
Zark gets 10K viewers playing WoW. Yeah, why would he play RuneScape? He can't. Not with that many viewers. That's tough, guys. That's a decision streamers have to make all the time.
And like, you had some kind of situation.
Joker talked about this yesterday, by the way. Joker took a massive pay cut, guys. A massive pay cut. Joker was like getting 4 or 5K viewers on WoW to come to RuneScape. He loses money, but he loves RuneScape. He would rather like his job and make less money. So Joker is a true Tylenol. Andy, he loves RS.
situation with woodcutting that
That's how you know.
Jagex moderators, like current Jagex moderators, actually got involved with, if I remember correctly.
Okay, let's I'll tell the story. So basically, like I said, I've played a bunch of RuneScape as a kid, and my first stream on RuneScape just a few months ago, you know, because all my friends were playing, I was like, all right, guys, I used to play RuneScape as a kid, and I loved this game. I got to 99 wood chopping, and I called it wood chopping. So right away, that was a red flag. Like I said, I mean, I haven't played since, what is it? 2004 is when I quit RuneScape for WoW. So it's been 21 years. So it's been it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, I was 99 wood shopping, and everyone in my chat instantly was like, no, you weren't. And I was like, what do you mean I wasn't? Of course I was. I remember this was a big deal to me. Like, I really like
Dude, this is such a kid thing to like remember yourself as so much greater or better than you were. You know what I mean? Like just pretending to be Superman or something when you're a kid. This is so funny that he thought he was 99 to me.
Remember this, like, come on, guys. And then everyone was 100% confident that I wasn't. And this had me scratching my head, right? Because I was like, am I being gaslit? Like, I totally remember this. Like, my chat, like, everyone's saying it was basically impossible to have a 99 back in 2003. Yeah. Or not impossible, but, you know, like, barely anyone.
It was ridiculous back then, yeah.
Right. It was ridiculous. And I was like, I told them, I was like, I played a lot, but I wasn't like, my account wasn't impressive. I remembered, you know, like I had a membership briefly before I quit. I had like an abyssal whip with dragon legs. Like I didn't have anything crazy. I had like an obby shield and an obby cloak, and those things were cool to me, which now it's like not cool at all, right?
Oh, those things will forever be cool. I don't care what anyone says. I love those items.
Bro, to my 12-year-old self, those were sweet.
There's nothing better.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I was just telling the story, and everyone's like, no way. And I slept on it and woke up, and I'm like, you know what? I am pretty darn sure I was 99.
Yeah.
And
when I played RuneScape, guys, I played RuneScape Classic. I don't even think a whip existed yet. At least I didn't know about it. The best item in the game was like Dragon Long, Rune Kite, Dragon Medium. No, it was Dragon Battle Axe. Everyone used like Dragon Battle Axe or Dragon Long and like a Rune Kite shield with like full rune. And a dragon medium. Like that was Biss when I played. So Zarb must have played it after me, I think.
And then I was like, you know what? On stream, I was like, you know what, guys? I am going to reach out to a Jagex moderator and have them fact check it. I'm going to prove to all of you guys that I'm right here and that I was 99. Like I was so certain.
Yeah. Right.
And then I reach out to a JMod whose name is escaping me right now. I should know this. Ayiza.
Ayiza.
Yep.
Ayiza. Shout out to Ayiza, JMod. And I was like, all right, look, I'm
the GOAT.
certain. Could you look up my old account? And by the way, I already tried to look up on the public leaderboards on RuneScape 3, but it didn't come up because the account was too old or something. I don't know. Anyway, I have him reach out and he finds the account. And I was like, oh my gosh, you found it. And he links me my woodcutting. And I was level 70 and it was heartbreaking.
Rip.
I mean, it was, humiliating and heartbreaking simultaneously. I mean, bro, it was.
Dude, I don't know. Dude, I played longer ago than Zar, but I remembered I had really high fishing and cooking, and I did it so I could cook sharks. I could fish and cook sharks in the fishing guild. I was like 80 cooking, 77, 78 fishing. I think it was 76 fishing and 80 cooking to cook sharks back then. And so like that was my only goal, was to get into the fishing guild so I could fish and cook sharks and I could have the better food. But that was the only grind I ever did when I was a kid. And basically once I unlocked that, then I quit.
It was rough because I totally was convinced, and my whole chat was laughing because they knew I wasn't 99, but I thought I was. And it was heartbreaking. And then some people, might be like, well, maybe that wasn't your account or whatever. It totally was, because all the rest of the stats were exactly what I remembered. Like my attack was 70. Actually I could look, but like, all the other stats were like exactly what I remember them being. My attack was 71, which like adds up with the abyssal whip, I believe. My defense and strength were 65 and 64. Like everything was about what I remember. My herblore was 1, so that adds up. My farming and slayer were 1. Like all these things, like a lot of things I just didn't do at all. And I was like,
I don't even know if I don't think Slayer was even a skill when I played, guys. These are some new skills they added.
Yeah, everything added up, and I had 25 quests completed on my account.
25 quests.
892 total skill level, and it was pretty much exactly what I remember, besides the woodcutting. So
Zar was 99 sailing too, huh?
To be fair, 70 woodcutting back then is nuts. Like that not many people had that back then. Like that's crazy. That's cool.
It felt so like funny. 99, I'll tell you that much.
I bet. Yeah. Sometimes it still feels like getting 99 and getting a 70 right now in 2025. But that's awesome that you were able to find that account. That's so cool. So then you had switched over to WoW, and you've been, you said you took a break here and there, but it's kind of just been like your home base, just like the heart of your gaming experience ever since. So how would you describe your play style as a WoW player? Like, there's PvPers, there's completionists, there's people that kind of approach serious versus casually. How would you describe yourself as a player?
Yeah, so I've evolved over the years. So this is funny, right? A lot of people historically know me as a PvPer. That's what I did for the majority of my WoW career.
Yeah.
Right? I've been playing. I've been streaming for 13 years as of yesterday, actually.
Wow.
Just hit 13 years.
Dude, Oda Block is one of the only PvPers that I know that gets like insane views nowadays. I just don't know. It's mainly because he's entertaining. I don't even think it's the PvP. I think it's the entertainment, but he just happens to PvP. He's just really entertaining. There aren't very many like PvPers that get a ton of viewers in MMOs.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Just started in 2012, and most of, I'd say like 9 of that or so was like heavily PvP focused, 8 or 9 of that. So I kind of just swapped to more PvE many years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago. I started doing a lot more PvE stuff, hardcore OnlyFans stuff. And
it's because PvP is the most entertaining part of watching OSRS. That is the hottest take I've heard today.
And my content, like just transparently, did way better. And for me, it's like really enjoyable to be able to do, because I can relax and talk to the chat and make better content and come up with better ideas for the stream and get people excited about it. And I get excited about it. And I kind of like looked historically, and my best content always was PvE. And I was like, why am I like forcing this PvP so much? Transparently, I do love PvP. That's where I started. That's where I got my name. That's where a lot of my OG, followers know me from.
That's because probably, when you're a content creator, you start making money doing something. It's very, very scary to like change it up, because you think you're going to lose everything that you've built. And I had this same feeling swapping over to OSRS. I thought I was going to lose everything I had built. I thought I was going to lose the last, 400 or 500, viewers that I had on WoW when I swapped to RuneScape. It was very scary. So I bet that's what Zar was going through at that time, like maybe stepping back from PvP and trying something else.
And I did a poll yesterday, and I said, where do you know me from in WoW? PvE?
You lost the hair on your head. Cubans, why we got to bring that up?
Or PvP, and about 60% said PvE, and 40% said PvP, which is it's a mind-boggling thing for me to wrap my head around, because I always think of myself as a PvPer, but I haven't done too much serious PvP in many years now, and a lot of the audience is newer, and so I guess that answers that. I have been a lot more focused on hardcore the last 3 or 4 years, because similar to RuneScape, I would say if you've already done RuneScape, you have a max main, how do you have fun, right? You make an Iron Man, you make a hardcore Iron Man, you try to clear everything on hardcore Iron Man, you try to if you're settled, then you do Swampoletics or something, right? Like you do zone locked stuff, and that's kind of the same in WoW, right? Like I've found when I've done everything in WoW, it's like, okay, let's try to do it self-found, which is like Iron Man. And then it's like, okay, let's try to do it hardcore self-found, right? So it's the same thing where you make challenges for yourself after you've done the basic version. And I think that's kind of what I'm into now.
Nice. Good stuff. It's always interesting seeing, you know, because I'm sure you've heard of Framed over here in old school, and just his evolution as a content creator / player. He used to just be a bad guy. He was like a lurer. Like, it wasn't just PvP, it was tricking people that didn't want to PvP into being in PvP areas and taking their stuff. And then now he switched into like a quest guy for a while. He was like doing all the quests and telling people how to do them. And then he turned into just a regular PvP guy, just doing it like, you know, how it is, and doing all these challenges on normal accounts. So it's always interesting seeing where content creators start and what they experience, like where they go through, experiencing different sides of the game and approaching it differently for the sake of content, and seeing like what you enjoy most and stuff. Because it does seem like the PvP area in WoW has been a little shaky for a while, because I've heard so many stories of people doing I don't know if is it called arenas or something like that in retail, where it's like, you have to queue for like an hour or something, like, to get in, just trying to find matches and stuff.
You know, it's actually quite similar to RuneScape, not the arena system itself, but the community interest, right? Like, I was playing RuneScape, it becomes quite obvious quite quickly that a smaller percentage of the player base engages in regular PvP.
Definitely,
and most people play for for a variety of other reasons: collections, skilling, just a place to call home, chilling, talking, community, role playing, whatever. But there's a smaller portion that PvPs, and I would say WoW has always been around that similar kind of those similar lines, where it's like there is a player base that PvPs, and it's very fun. And I'll always love it, but it is a subset of a subset of players. So yeah,
definitely. So right now there's quite a bit going on in the World of Warcraft landscape with they've got the anniversary servers, they've got the original classic, they've got MOP classic, they've got Legion remix, they've got retail.
It's too much.
There's a lot over there going on. And
they need to nuke all the versions of WoW.
Going back over there, like to your home base essentially. So having experienced a time in old school and kind of like seeing the community over here, seeing what's going on, and then glancing back over at World of Warcraft, what is your just general feelings on where WoW is at collectively right now, with all versions like considered here? What are your thoughts on just the actual WoW landscape?
I mean, this has been heavy on my mind. It's a really great question, right? When I first started playing RuneScape a few months ago, so playing again, what made me realize is there is so much to learn here, right? As a case study, because RuneScape is a game that launched old school. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was 2013, 2014.
Yep, 2013.
So that you launched old school in 2013, and now we're in 2025. So we have 12 years of a perfect MMO case study on launching a classic version of the game. What works? What doesn't? What are ways to be successful? What are ways that are maybe ways to not be so successful? And WoW launched classic in 2019, and now it's 2025. So we're 6 years down that road. So essentially we have a lot of
so WoW is 6 years, classic WoW is 6 years into being re-released, but it has almost no changes. I wonder how long after 2012, when Jagex released the game, did they start implementing new content into the game? I want to say that it didn't take them 6 years before they got a development team and they introduced new stuff to the game. Almost like nearly right away, within a couple of years, 2 to 3 years in. So WoW is way behind Jagex in this movement of basically igniting the old version of the game and starting to develop content for it.
A lot of extra time to look at like RuneScape and be like, wait, these guys are further along in the timeline than we are, by a lot, by double, right? they are 12, like literally double the amount of experience with
Yo, Mister, thank you for the prime.
RuneScape. Looking at the data, it was pretty clear what happened. You launch old school RuneScape, people played, it was fun, but there was no new content and people rapidly quit. And then slowly over the course of many years, more content was being developed and it started to catch some steam. But then as more and more and more great content was developed, it caught a lot of steam and more and more and more. And now you're in a spot with old school 12 years later where the game is actually the best it's ever been by a lot of people's standards. You know, obviously some people might disagree there, but you know, it's getting better and better and better.
Thank you, Mister.
And that's exactly what you want a game to look like. You have it launch. It's, you know, it's okay, but then it gets better and better over time. It's aging like wine. And that I think is one of the biggest things we could learn on the WoW side of things. WoW does things opposite. WoW does things seasonally. Like, okay, let's do like a seasonal massive drop, kind of like Grid Master right now. But that's like the main, that's
Here, how do you keep every raid in classic WoW relevant? How do you keep Molten Core, you know, and all this stuff relevant for the next 20 years where like you need to still do it, but then also develop new raids, you know? And it's with an incredibly slow power creep and unique items for every class. And it all needs to be extremely thought out. It needs to be planned out for like the next 20 something years. It needs to be very methodically thought out, every item in the game. And it has to be slowly let out. It's incredibly challenging to do this. In RuneScape, TOB, Cox, and TOA all drop BIS items for your character. There's a reason to do all three of them. If they add another raid, there will be BIS items from that raid too. But it won't make all of the other items useless from the other raids, right? So you definitely need to be thinking out these items when you add one in to give it maybe slightly more power than something of its predecessor, but without making its predecessor useless. And it's incredibly challenging to design. The longer the game goes on, eventually you will replace BIS with BIS. And maybe you do it like this, right? So you have the 3 different sets of boots. You have like the Prims, the Pegasians, and I don't know, the other ones, the mage ones. And then you have the Avernic treads that come along, and you can combine all 3 of these old BIS into the new BIS, and then you redo that system. So then now with like the next bosses come out, you'll have 3 different sets of boots that are BIS for each category. And then the expansion after that, you add something that can combine all of those to make them better. And so you kind of like can spread out ideas like that and keep your design philosophy along that lines where it's like, it takes you a long time. It might be like 10 years from now before we fully replace Avernic treads with a new Avernic tread.
That's not just a side thing for WoW. That's like everything. Let's drop a seasonal, exciting surfer. Everyone plays. It's massive. Like, you know, 500,000 weekly raiders on SOD when it came out, Season of Discovery. Like, these things are huge, but then they just kind of die out in a few months. And then it's like, right? And I think a lot of us classic players went over to RuneScape and we're like, wait a minute, guys, look, this is perfect. This is what we want. Like, this is what we want for WoW. Like, you have
this is exactly what happened.
Game. You have a classic RuneScape, but it's constantly being updated and worked on. This is the framework that we've all been wanting. This is perfect. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. All right. And to wrap back around to your question, like, what do I think about WoW? In accordance to that, we have too many versions, I think, right? With RuneScape, you have RS3, which is modern, and you have old school, which is classic. And it's simple. As a player, you hop in, do I want modern or classic? Boom, done. One choice. And once you're online, you have a lot of choices. You know, you can play Iron Man, group Iron Man, hardcore, you know, plugins, this and that. But like, really, to download the client, you have one option. With WoW, I get people.
Dude, this is the biggest problem in WoW. You guys log in, you want to play the game with me, right? Or we both find out that we're WoW players, and then we're like, oh, you play WoW? And they're like, hell yeah. And they're like, hell yeah, we should play together sometime. You're like, wait, what version of WoW do you play? And there's 9 different versions. And if you're playing Classic, you need to be on Horde or Alliance, and you need to be on the same server. We have like a 1 in 500 chance of being able to play together if we both find out that me and you are WoW players. That's how insane it is. Like it's that, and we also have to be the same level. We also have to be the same level, because in class, if you're playing classic WoW, you can't play together if you're more than like 10 levels past that guy.
People all the time, man, that are like, should I play MOP? Should I play SOD? Should I play Anniversary? Should I play Era? Should I play Retail? Should I play Remix? It's too complicated.
Yeah.
I think a system with WoW that would work long term is to copy RuneScape, right? You have modern WoW, and then you have classic WoW. And the classic WoW would be constantly updated based on community guidelines, community polls, community, like a community ran servers essentially. And then you add, it gets better, right? It gets sweeter over time. You get new content over the course of many, many, many years, so that 10 years from now, we're playing a classic WoW that's better than today. And that's my hope. I hope a WoW dev is watching this. Like, that's my hope for the game. Like 10 years. I hope 10 years.
Dude, I want to say that the devs want what the players want, but their hands are tied behind corporate interests. And I want to say that they've been battling that for a long time at Blizzard.
From now we're playing WoW, and it's like, just where RuneScape is today, where it's like our favorite game as a kid, but even better, and it's being taken care of properly, right? And maybe I'm on copium, but
I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty understandable to want that, and I think it's very achievable. There is like 400 things that would be a worth talking about when it comes to Classic Plus, but it's something that everyone wants. It's something that everyone would try. It's Classic Plus. It's like
I don't like that excuse. Cribbler, dude, you gotta go write a forum post ASAP then, and let them know. Give them a piece of your mind, my man. Go let them know that you're not going to tolerate that anymore.
They've already got a brand going for it, and it doesn't even exist yet. It's huge, and that comes with like all these expectations. There's a ton of expectations, and I feel like as someone who's not in the World of Warcraft universe, I haven't heard enough of those expectations. I feel like everyone wants this thing. Everyone's talking about, we need Classic Plus, but there hasn't been enough, I don't know, a bullet points, a list of things that people would like to see. And obviously with the discussion of old school RuneScape and a lot of WoW guys coming over and trying it, seeing like a thriving classic version of an MMO, it's like, yes, this is possible. We can do it. But there's that issue that always comes up of like, vertical versus horizontal progression, structure of old school versus structure of WoW classic. So I guess as someone, like, I don't have that much experience playing World of Warcraft. So I'm just really curious what you, as someone who's experienced every version of the game for 2 decades, what you kind of expect from some kind of WoW Classic Plus, like what you envision, what you hope it to be.
Yeah, that is the question.
Yeah.
That's the question. I'll answer it in just 1 second. I linked you a tweet.
Okay.
That links to poll results. So I did a stream 2 days ago where I basically polled my community over.
This is crazy.
84 questions about what Classic Plus should entail, and I put an approval rating on the right side. Color coded in green is 70% or higher. I just made up the 70%. That was all from me. And then in yellow is kind of like that mid range, and then red was things that people didn't want.
Guys, this poll that Zaryu did has been made into a website called classicpolls.com. You can go on here and you can upvote or downvote, similar to Reddit. Every single change that Zaryu proposed should go into Classic Plus. These are things that Blizzard has already talked about. And you can see at the very top what the highest voted change is. And this is basically they RuneScaped Classic Plus. They have RuneScaped Classic Plus. They have opened a poll booth and made a website for it. This goes to show you how badly that players want to vote in things and be a part of the creating the game that they've been asking for so long. And I read over some of these and I upvoted some of them. But you can see at the very top, the number one thing that people want in Classic Plus here is new raids. So I think we should get more people to take this and kind of see how this goes. And why don't we'll comb through that after the interview and kind of take that quiz ourselves and see what we think.
So we have a bunch of different Classic Plus potential features, and I just wanted to talk to people and see what they wanted. So my biggest thing here is everyone wants different stuff, and really the only way to move forward in my mind is how RuneScape did it, right? And yeah. I think it's brilliant. You put up polls, 70% or higher, right? And 70% is a large number because it respects precedent, it respects history, it respects this is how we got here. Let's not do something that's even 50-50 and put that through because it's just too controversial.
Right.
I like that a lot. And yeah, I think that's the way to move forward, right? Because if you have,
I wonder what GDKP would get.
If you entrust any one person to do it, it's not going to be right. It has to be a cumulative pull from the community. It has to be community driven. Having said that, it doesn't mean the community is perfect. It might mean the community makes mistakes at some points and can then vote something back out, or right. You know, the majority sometimes is wrong, and like it's like they didn't understand what that really entailed, but it still leaves the power in the people's hands to where if something actually ends up sucking, you can then vote it back out. It's not a perfect system, but it's a system I would like to see. But yeah, to get back to the question, I think the very, very basic idea of Classic Plus is you have Classic WoW with some minor class changes and balancing, because there's some things in Classic that just are bad. Like, right? Like there needs to be some minor.
If you remove bind on pickup, you remove GDKP. Oh, you just RuneScape the game where everything's tradable. Then every single thing can be bought and sold on the auction house.
Minor changes and balancing, nothing over the top. And then you add in new content like new raids, new dungeons, and just like RuneScape did, not just end game content, but mid game content as well.
Right.
So you get people excited to re-level and experience the game and the zones. And then as you develop things over the course of time, you do that in a...
Well, what's the point of raiding then? All right, so let's just have this discussion real quick. If they were to make every item in the game tradable, bind and equip, the value of it would be immediately lost the moment that you equip it. So then you don't have to raid to get the best items in the game. You can literally do secondary professions to make money, and then you can buy your gear. Like, you don't have to raid anymore to get gear. If you don't have time to raid, you could still acquire BIS through economy or playing the auction house. You could just find way to money and then buy your item. And RuneScape has this route, and it's a reason a lot that mains get made fun of is because it's a grind for gold per hour instead of actually going and killing the bosses to get the loot. You're just playing the auction house, or you're just farming rune ore. There was a guy yesterday who was like, I'm going to farm 100,000 rune ore, and then I'm going to buy my scythe. And I was like, power to you, brother. You know, you can do that in RuneScape. And I wonder if WoW would like be worse or better for that. That's an interesting topic to kind of pick apart. People that play mains have a job. Yeah, I know. Would you guys agree with this? 99% of RuneScape players would never get a scythe unless they play main. Would you guys agree with that statement? 99% of RuneScape players will never get a scythe unless they buy it off the auction house. I would say that it takes way too much time to level a character all the way up to the point where you can even run TOB. And then on average, you have to run it, 1,000 times to see a scythe? And we already broke that down. That was like 300 to 400 hours of just running TOB over and over and over. And that's just one item in the game, guys. That's one item. You still need a ton of items before that to get there. And unless you're a main and like you're either getting gold or you're buying it, like I don't see the majority of the player base spamming TOBs 1,000 times. I don't see that happening. And even then, you still got to get lucky and get it. It's very high up there that a very small percentage of the player base will ever even get a scythe, and way less will get a Zuckhelm, right? But you can't buy Zuckhelm. That's a different thing.
A horizontal fashion so that it doesn't fully replace everything that you work so hard to get to in the first place. And these are the types of lessons that I'm talking about when I said, like, you know, when after playing RuneScape, it's like, wow, there's a lot here. There's so much here to learn from. If you want to make a really good Classic Plus, we have the perfect case study already, because it's RuneScape is just set up, like its systems are set up in such a good way.
Yeah. That's actually a good. I mean, there's many good points that you just brought up. The one that was sticking out was the end game content. I feel like every discussion with Classic Plus is about, you know, what do we do different once you hit level 60 sort of thing. And I think that's very true. Is, you know, the beauty of Classic in my eyes when I experienced it was the leveling journey. So I think a lot of players, once they get to that max level, they're gonna have that feeling like, well, I beat the game. That's as high as I can get. So the interest in all of the gameplay loop of, like, you know, farming your bis or your pre-bis in dungeons at level 60, it's like there's only so much interest that's there. So I think the actual focus would definitely be on the leveling journey and how you can make it different and how you can integrate, you know, different systems that no one's experienced before. So that's actually, I had not really seen much focus on that part. So that's awesome that you know, that was brought up in this table basically. Do you know what the sample size was? Like, how many people were, like, how many people participated in that?
So I had 5,000 or 6,000 live viewers. I would say most of the polls had anywhere from a couple hundred to 1,000 votes, because, you know, most people that watch are lurking.
Yeah.
But, you know, so the sample size is relatively small. And like I said here in the tweet, that I understand my community isn't the entire Classic player base. By no stretch of my imagination do I think these numbers are 100% accurate by any means. And I'm not claiming them to be. I wanted to be very, like, transparent about that. Right. Like, I don't think Blizzard should just take this list and do it by any means. I just wanted to kind of start the conversation and get some ideas rolling and see, like, oh, do you guys even agree with this list or not? And kind of just get the ball rolling. But yeah, it's pretty small sample size. But man, I agree with you, dude. Like, the beauty of Classic to me, of Classic WoW, has always been that leveling journey. And you're meeting people along the way, you know, the hardships and like making it into this just journey. And when you hit 60, I mean, the data's clear. Most people end up quitting. Right. So it's like, you got to make that leveling experience exciting and fun and different in as many ways as possible, through leveling achievements, new ways to level, like Iron Man does or Hardcore does, and all these different things. And I think that's what makes it beautiful in the long term for us players that continue to play in the long term.
Definitely. Yeah, that's awesome that you were able to put something like that together. That's really cool looking at, even if it's only a couple hundred to 1,000 people, it's still nice seeing an actual visual of what players are, you know, considering, and different things that, like, different ideas that can be agreed upon. It's really
combat achievements in Classic would be cool too, brother. There needs to be a Zuck Helm in Classic Plus. I would love that. The Zuck Helm, the idea of that, where if you complete every achievement or every combat achievement, you get a transmog item. Maybe it just colors your tier 3 helm different or something. I don't know. I think that that's the coolest thing. Or you get a cape, or you get like a glowing attachment to your capes or something. Dude, like, to me, like, that is the ultimate reason to play the game, is like the 0.01% of achievements that honestly hardly anybody will ever get. That's the stuff that I like going for in MMOs, man. I like doing that. But at the same time, I don't want to AFK in a battleground for 3 months to get High Warlord. Like, that's not challenging. That just shows how much time you spent AFKing in the game. Like, that's not cool. I want something that's like very challenging to do, that that shows a cool reward for doing it. And I hope Classic Plus implements something like that. And we'll see if that's one of the questions that Zar asked, because we're going to take the Classic poll after this video.
really cool. This is the first I've seen of that for Classic Plus, like, ever. I've not seen anything like this.
That's why I wanted to do it, because I didn't either. I was like, why has this not, like, no one's done this? And I thought about it a few weeks ago, so I wrote it down as a content idea, and I was like, you know what, screw it, we're gonna put down a date, everyone watch, and tune in. Let's just vote on some stuff and just kind of like get some ideas out there for what would actually be cool. 'Cause
Right.
no one's done it. So
You know
that's
what's
why I
really
wanted to.
funny is you have actually unknowingly influenced my content forever when I make a video essay, because you brought up something. So it was so long ago. I don't even remember. I think it was my like original WoW video where I tried all of them for the first time. And
Oh yeah.
you had brought something up because like I was like talking about something in retail that I didn't like or whatever. And I remember you had paused it and you just brought up the concept of like, okay, we can complain about it, you know, but how do we fix it? That's the problem. And ever since I heard you say that, I try my absolute best to not criticize anything unless I have some sort of ballpark solution to talk about afterwards. So I feel like this is a perfect example of that mentality.
Yeah, dude, I cannot stand this, guys, when people in the chat are like, hey, you're doing that wrong. I know a bunch of you guys are going to type that right now, which is fine. But what am I doing wrong and how do I do it better? You know what I mean? Like, or people come in and they're like, this game sucks. Or this thing sucks. And I'm like, okay, are you just here to complain? That's just like, it's annoying to, quite frankly. I love having conversations about how to fix it. But like, you sound like a really, like some people in your life, you know, can be very annoying and they just want to complain. I spend 0 time complaining and 100% of time figuring out a solution. I'm a very solution orientated. I don't want to sit around and complain about you being hungry. I want to know what's the solution. What type of food are you interested in getting? What's the closest restaurant? We should go there right now. We should drive and we should take this route to get there. That way we can spend the minimal amount of time navigating through the traffic so that we can get the food so that you will no longer be hungry and you will also enjoy the meal. Like, that's how my brain is thinking as soon as someone says I'm hungry. You know what I mean?
Of like, here's actual suggestions. You know, we're not just saying I want Classic Plus. I don't like this.
You have
this.
not met
It's
my
like,
wife.
here's
It's
these
crazy.
things that are actual tangible things that you could put into the game that are a part of the discussion now. So this definitely adds up with what you've talked about before. It definitely makes sense. That's really cool.
Appreciate.
Guys, we need 60,000 sand to convert with seaweed using the lunar spellbook so that we can get infinite amounts of molten glass, and then we're going to blow all the glass into lantern lenses until we reach 87 or 88 crafting so that we can start farming Zenites using Slayer tasks so that we can make a anguish necklace and all of the other gear.
I appreciate you bringing that up, man. I don't remember where I first heard that. It was many years ago. But yeah, I think it was some elder in my life that said, you know, it's easy to complain and it's harder to come up with solutions.
Right.
And I talk about that to my community all the time because, you know, I know a lot of the devs that work on WoW and, you know, I've had the pleasure to meet them and they're real people. They're human beings. They're WoW players that have been playing for 20 years and they're trying.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of the times they come up short, like, you know, but sometimes they do some great stuff too. And what I like to remind people is like, look, a lot of these things do suck. You're right. But like, if you're just sitting there saying they suck without trying to say like, this is maybe a better solution. What do you guys think about this? Right. Like that's a lot harder to do. You know, it really starts. And then I've sat there and I'm like, you know what? I couldn't do the job of a WoW dev. No way could I do it. Right. Like I have ideas, but like it is a hard job because at the end of the day, people are going to complain no matter what you do. And that's what I wanted to kind of put this poll out there and to see like, well, what does the community think? Like if, you know, because we can't all agree on everything, but like maybe there's some stuff that 90+% of people would like to see. And maybe that's where we start. And then 5 years later, or not 5 years, you know, a couple months down the road, let's do another round of changes. And that's kind of the approach I believe RuneScape took, right? You start with the basics and then from there, it's like, let's go a little further and like pull the community and see what they think. And then let's go a little further. Let's do a little more. Let's do a little more. And like each step along the way, let's talk to the community. And I just thought that was brilliant from RuneScape. So I was like, I hope we can get it one day in WoW. We'll see.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I think there a lot of people that watch my videos think that I'm against polling because I think I've made some snarky comments in the past about like just ridiculous things that the Jagex moderators poll, like the color of a carpet or something like that. Like they've pulled some ridiculous things because they don't want to do something without the community's permission, and they've gotten
Good for them. Good.
they've gotten so much better about that because I would still be making fun of them if they did that stuff. But I guess like old school is just the perfect example of, you know, if you're running an MMO and you wanted to find success and you want to future proof it, you have to poll things. You have to ask the community and just get a survey out there, because it just goes to show how many mistakes have made, not just in World of Warcraft, but I mean in RuneScape 3, in Final Fantasy. There's been countless, like in all MMOs, there's been countless updates that players are like scratching their heads, like, who thought of that? Why would you put that in? Whereas in old school, there really hasn't been anything like that before, because there's that system in place to make sure that never happens. And even any tweaks they make, like, you know, we were talking a little bit about just what makes classic WoW. Like, you don't want to venture off the path of making it not feel like classic WoW anymore. But old school itself, like prior to you guys all jumping over here to try it, they made some very, very core changes to the way that combat works and the way that weaknesses work, and like things that we never thought would be touched, but ended up being a great change that, you know, it definitely wasn't in the original old school. That definitely changed the way that combat works everywhere. And things like that are super important to kind of pull to the community, because I feel like even though it was a good update, if they just kind of inserted that out of nowhere, it would have been really controversial. Like, people would not have been happy even if they did benefit from it, because it's just, there's something like the principle of it is just very weird to just change something that big. But
What I like about, sorry to cut you off there,
you're
but
good, you're good.
You were on like a really good like conversation. What I like about it is it gets the blame off the devs, and it gets the blame back to the community, back to yourself.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like looking in the mirror, right? If something goes through that ends up sucking, it's like, well, we voted for this, right? And we have the power to get it back out. Whereas if you aren't polling and aren't voting, and they put it, and the devs put something in that you don't like, now it's really easy to complain and say, devs, you guys suck, this isn't what we wanted, and it just creates this like toxic relationship. Whereas if the community votes it in and it sucks, then it's like, it's on you, which is good, because then it's like self-responsibility. We could then, you know, it's like, we did this, right?
Yeah,
We did
exactly.
this. So I love it. I think it's cool.
Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, I really do hope that there is something cooking behind the scenes for a Classic Plus, because I think it will.
Oh, it's 100% happening.
Everyone's going to try it. Everybody is going to try Classic Plus if it comes out. So hopefully they are going to start taking a more serious position on it. And then, you know, whenever they do, consider asking the players maybe perhaps what they want. I don't know. Crazy idea. But yeah. But I guess to transition from there, you know, because I mean the WoW stuff's chaotic, but I want to ask a little bit about your experience with old school RuneScape and just kind of go through some of those, because it really was awesome to see all the WoW creators kind of glance in old school's direction for one reason or another. And you had, I guess you kind of already touched on this, but I've just been asking everyone like what their initial reason for trying old school was. Was there anything like, because obviously you had been thinking about it for a while. It's been in the back of your mind, like, I'm going to try RuneScape on stream. But was there anything that kind of gave you that push? Like maybe you noticed, you know.
This is a good question. I kind of wonder, yeah, like why did Zar come try RuneScape? You know, where was he at? This is a good question.
Some of the guys have been playing for a while, so you're like, all right, it's time to kind of go over there with this movement, or like what was
he was late to the party.
Final push to really create a new account and stream it?
I would say Guzu and Savix, and I have to give them both credit for getting me into hardcore World of Warcraft as well.
Yeah.
So I got a bunch of YouTube recommendations of Guzu.
Okay, this is the same answer I gave, actually. I saw Guzu and Savix playing it, and I was like, oh, they'll probably quit. And then they didn't quit. And I was like, oh, maybe I should try that.
and Guzu was playing hardcore many years ago, and I like maybe 4 years ago, and I saw him like 3 years ago, and I was like, oh wow, that looks fun. And then Savix, who's been a friend of mine for a while, I watched his YouTube videos too, and they came up, and I was like, oh my gosh, Guzu and Savix, these guys are at it again on RuneScape, the boys. And I was like, okay. And then I'm good friends with Sardaco. We have done a lot of WoW content together, which this could maybe be a whole nother topic, but in a weird way, I miss a lot of my friends, and that's a whole nother conversation.
Zar misses me, confirmed.
Yeah, we can get to that in a bit, but I saw all my friends playing, and I'm just like, I've wanted to. They're all playing. Oh, okay, and I think
Zar did mention that playing Classic without all of us was not the same, and it's kind of like, you're at the playground with all of your friends, and then one day it's like all of your friends just like get a different recess period, and so you see them playing out the window, and they're all playing without you now, and then you go out to recess and you're excited to go out there, but they're not there. So it's like, yeah, recess is still fun, but it's like without the boys, it doesn't hit the same.
I think to piggyback, just what gave me confidence to play variety games in general was OnlyFans, not necessarily OnlyFans 2, but OnlyFans 1 was a big deal for me, because it was like, oh, all of these creators have the courage to come and play WoW, and this is our home. And OnlyFans 1 ended, and then when OnlyFans 1 ended, I was like, okay, let's check out some other games. Let's check out where these creators are from.
Right.
And then seeing like you come from RuneScape, and and OnlyFans 2, and then OnlyFans 2 ended, and I was like, like I should be checking out this is the time to check out other games, right? And I played a variety of games, not just RuneScape. I played League for a few months, and that was like a blast.
In my opinion, this is still the time to be checking out other games. I cannot believe I wake up every day and I'm like, how is ultra hardcore WoW a thing? Like, I thought we had just played 4 or 5 renditions of hardcore WoW, and we were so incredibly burnt out on it that nobody was going to touch this game for like another year or two, because we've played it nonstop for the past 4 years, and all of a sudden hardcore's back again. And I'm like, how is this possible? And it just came out of nowhere to me. And I'm glad that, Zar's having success playing it, but I still can't believe it, to be honest.
So I played RuneScape for a month or two, and that was a blast. And it was like, I feel like I almost owe it, right? To pay it forward. Like everyone else has had the courage to come to WoW. I wanted to check out, other games too, and see the beauty in those games. So I guess all of those things kind of came together. I was like, and like I said, I always wanted to play since I played as a kid. I was like, let's do it. Let's hop into RuneScape.
Yeah. I totally forgot that.
Enjoying the chill skill streams? Yo, thank you, Megan.
During that initial jump, there was like a split almost where half of the WoW guys were going to League and half the WoW guys were going to old school, and I was so curious of which game was going to outlast the other, like of who's trying the the new game, if they're going to stay over there, if they're people are gonna like swap games, if like the
what's ultra hardcore. So ultra hardcore is, imagine you're playing hardcore RuneScape, but you can't see your health bar, right? You can't see your health bar, and when your health gets low, your screen just slowly gets darker until the point where you can only see like a little square around you. And then you have to eat to like see your screen again. That's ultra hardcore. That's what's popping off right now in WoW. And also, you can never see the health bar of the mob. So if you were to go and kill a camel, you would never be able to see its HP. You just have to hit it until it's dead, and you have to know that camel has roughly 60 hit points, and it does, max hit 10, and you could look up what its hit points and max hit are on the wiki before you go and kill it. But it channels your knowledge of the game more. And I think that that's the reason why it's popular, because the best part of hardcore is that it's a knowledge game. And it just like checks your knowledge even more than it already does. And that's why people like it. It's just like it emphasizes the knowledge portion of the game even more.
Old school guys are going to try League next. So it was really fun seeing old school beat League in that sense. People going to try it. I'm glad that League didn't win. I think old school had the won the battle of attrition there. So I'm glad that so many people did give it a shot. Did you have any because I know you played it as a kid, but did you have any expectations of how playing old school would go for during your first couple days, knowing what you did?
Oh, dude, it was completely different than I remember.
Yeah.
So I got into old school because I wanted I got into old school again like a few months ago because I wanted a game to just chill and like level my woodcutting and talk to chat.
Yeah.
Like level my, level my attack, kind of.
Guys, at the beginning of Zar's stream, like every day, I think he does a lot of reacts and he just sits there XP wasting. In RuneScape, I can do this and do what Zar does at the beginning of my stream. And that's actually what I'm going to start doing, is I'm going to do skilling at the beginning of the stream. We'll do some reacts and we'll talk, but I'm not wasting XP at the same time. Like Zar sits there and just XP wastes. And I think he was noticing that. And he was like, damn, I don't have to waste XP on my stream if I'm hitting the crab while doing reacts. And Zaryu was like, damn, I kind of like this. I kind of like this idea of an MMO where I can get XP while I'm doing reacts.
It's half AFK.
He's double dipping.
Like I was like, I'm good with that. I am game with literally just chopping a tree, AFK. That's cool. I like it. I'm in. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Right. Like that. I was cool with it. And then when I started playing old school again, I was like, whoa. Yeah. I mean, it was different. There was two reasons it was different. One, when I originally played, I only did 25 quests. I was 12 years old and I was a complete noob. Yeah. Right. Like I didn't experience anything. But two, we're also not playing the game how it was in 2003. We're playing how it is in 2025.
Right.
So there was just way more to do. Like I couldn't believe fairy rings. I couldn't believe spirit trees, like the amount of mobility. I could not believe the complexity of the combat. Yeah. So this is one of the things that surprised, I think, all of us WoW players. I think when you look at RuneScape, right, from the outside, as an outsider, you look at the combat and you're like, wow, that's boring, right? You are literally AFK slashing. Yeah. But it couldn't be further from the truth once you get to actually playing the game.
Brother, once you get to the Inferno, I have not experienced, I'm going to just say this, just from like the one tick alternating flicking sessions that I've done, I've gotten infinitely better at the game already. Once you learn the rhythm and the tick alternating and pay attention to the animations of the mob, and you're like hyper focusing in on the tick system, and it becomes natural. It's almost like playing an instrument. Like the game, you just start to evolve and you just get better at playing that instrument. And I'm nowhere near good at it yet, but I'm starting to see that if I keep doing it, I will get good at it one day. And it's super, when you first try it, you're like, oh my God, I can't do this. It's because you're picking up a saxophone and trying to play it and you can't play a single note. And it's just like, I'll never be good at saxophone. But that's because you haven't played it every single day, all day. And it's like, it's very overwhelming.
To some degree, and I'm not going to make the claim I did anything very impressive, but like even just some mid-game stuff, right? Moons, Barrows, Fire Cape, like that kind of stuff. It was like, oh, like, I mean, it's all, relatively easy, but still, it really is way more than just clicking, right? Yeah. It's way more than just AFK. It's like, you're clicking to move, you're clicking to gear swap, you're clicking for your prey. I mean, I don't need to tell you, you know this, but for the listeners that maybe.
Yeah, and like Zar has only tried PvP. He hasn't even got into like, he never made it to CG. In my opinion, CG is like the first reality check on how the combat is in this game. And I would say that CG is easy compared to what you need to do to get past an Infernal, unless you get extremely lucky just tanking. Like you just do like some crazy tank strat where you just eat all the damage from a blob and just focus one mob at a time. And I don't know if that can be done, But like, if you have to one tick flick and alternate flick at least every 2 ticks, you have to alternate flicks if you're gonna be able to kill this thing. And one flick, you're dead. Like, you miss one flick, you're dead on a mage, ranger, blob. Like, it's very punishing and very challenging. And at first, I'm like overwhelmed, but now that I've started getting into it, I'm starting to enjoy the challenge. And Zar didn't even make it that far yet, or even know like that this difficulty. I'm sure he might know this difficulty exists, but it's one thing to like just kind of know that it exists, and it's another to like actually have tried it, actually have like gone through the pain of trying to master it, and then actually gotten better at it. And to go through that progression, I can honestly say that's very enjoyable. And I know that Zar would probably have enjoyed this part of the game had he gotten to this part of the game, but he just wasn't willing to do all the things necessary to get to this part of the game. And also he lost viewers doing it too. So I really feel bad for Zar, but I wish he was here and able to experience what I'm going through now, because it is awesome. RuneScape is awesome once you get to the Inferno, man. Like I am loving it, boys.
You only play WoW, you're clicking for specs, right? And then you're swapping weapons, then doing it again, and like constantly moving, rotating, prayer swapping. It becomes a rhythm game, and it's very it takes a lot of mouse dexterity to be able to pull that off and click accurately without messing up and getting one shot.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the biggest surprises was, whoa, the combat is actually really fun.
Yeah, it is.
Really engaging and like surprisingly difficult. And that was a hard thing, I think, for a lot of us WoW players to admit, that like, oh, the RuneScape combat is actually, pretty difficult, and I never got to any of the endgame stuff. But the stuff I've seen on YouTube, right, once you get to like the actual endgame and like you get closer to that infernal cave and stuff.
I had the opposite effect of Zar. So there's a lot of people asking about my viewership. First off, you can go to twitchtracker.com if you guys want to see people's viewership and just like type in their name if you're ever really curious. My viewers actually went up coming to RuneScape, which is something that I thought that could never happen. I didn't see that as even a possibility, but I think that the YouTube series that I made inspired a lot of people to come and check out my channel. So I'm very grateful to everyone that watched the YouTube series of, WoW player versus Fire Cape and stuff like that. 100 hours of WoW player plays, RuneScape for 100 days, those type of videos. And I believe that that's the reason why we had a little bit of viewership increase when we swap games. And honestly, even if I had stayed the same viewership, I'd be playing RuneScape. If I had the choice to play between the two and the viewership thing was taken off the table, like, hey, you're going to get the same amount of viewers right now if you swap and play WoW or RuneScape, guys, I'm not going back to play WoW right now. Even if my viewers were to go up by like, 25%, 50%, like I would still play RuneScape. I would take the loss, like what Joker is doing. I feel the exact same way about the game as Joker. And that's just how it is. But when you're in Zar's position, it's very tough to take a massive pay cut to come and try out RuneScape. And I feel bad for him in that sense, because I wish he was here playing with us.
It's like, okay, yeah, like you really can't mess up a lot of clicks here, and you've got to know exactly what's coming and be ready for it and do it perfectly. And then, I mean, don't even get me started.
Joker lost viewers playing OSRS. Yeah,
a couple hundred rounds of LMS and got training by Odablock, and that's a whole nother level, right? Oh my gosh. And I told you my roots were PvP, so I mean, I absolutely loved LMS. I loved the kind of the whole style. It's a three-way rock paper scissors, or it's a two-way rock paper scissors, right? You're constantly trying to defend and attack, and what a fun game mode. I thought it was fantastic. So I liked the PvP a lot. I liked the PVM a lot. And to my surprise, the thing that I actually like didn't find myself doing was like skilling and cutting trees, and that's what I initially was signing myself up for. So it was the exact opposite of what I.
Van, you're a pure OSRS viewer now. Let's go. We converted some WoW viewers, not very many. I would say, guys, 99% of my WoW viewers are gone now. And that is scary, to lose that much of your audience, but then to gain more viewers than you lost is just something that's like really incredible. So I'm very appreciative for everybody that is here watching now. You guys are legends, and I appreciate you guys for all just following the channel, lurking, anything, man. It's been an awesome ride. So thank you guys.
Expected.
Yeah, I feel like that AFK aspect of the game is anyone who has somewhat knowledge of old school, that's kind of what they're thinking about. If they're not thinking about the bad graphics, they're thinking about chopping a tree. Like that's what, that's just the impression the game gives off, which is understandable. But yeah, it's I've talked about it a lot in video essays of just how, we used to approach old school like a playground. And now we approach it like a cubicle in an office of, we're going to work, we're going into grind. We're going in to figure out the in-game systems. We're going to memorize 100 beats per minute. Every 0.6 seconds is a tick. We're going to see how we could use our items.
3-tick mining will make you better at the game and get you to sand faster, but it'll also make me a worse streamer. And I think my priority is on being a good streamer, interacting with chat, and keeping the stream entertaining. And if all of my inputs are stuck like this, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, I think I would be not as good of a streamer. And I think that the stream is the priority. So I think we're gonna chill, click the sand slowly, and we'll get there when we get there, because this game is not a rush.
To manipulate that, we're going to use it to our advantage when we're attacking the monsters, and all this stuff. It's a whole different universe that people might remember from when they were going on to miniclip.com to find RuneScape back in 2005. It's like it's so cool, like where our adult brains have kind of taken the game that you would have just never ever expected. Even the people that made the game, the Gower brothers back in the day, like they would have never.
Shout out Gower brothers, baby!
It's crazy where
the
it's
goats.
at now. It's
Game Geek. Thank you for the prime.
I was talking about it with someone else of just how we made something beautiful out of an ugly thing. Like it's the system of RuneScape. This like 100 beats per minute tick system is just. They really did, man. Thing. Like it's such a turnoff for people, but the players themselves have looked at it and created something amazing out of it, just to a whole different play style, a whole different approach. So it's way different than anyone would expect until you try it and you kind of make some progress and see it. So I'm glad you got to see it. I'm glad you got to see that side of the game, because there is more to the whole RuneScape system than chopping trees and looking outdated. So it's cool.
Yeah, dude, the graphics are, it's a good point of conversation. The graphics are such a turnoff if you haven't played the game, right?
Yeah.
You see the game and it's like, okay, what is this? X out of here, whatever.
It's because everyone that's good at the game is trying to make the graphics look as worse as possible. Literally simple tiles, GPU instead of HD 177. Like everyone is tanking their graphics at the game so they can be better at the game, and it's just making it worse. Especially people that play with the small box on stretch mode, that PvP, and it's like the whole thing. It's like just the top left section of your game is the actual game. It's like 60% of your screen is not even the game. It's like it's not helping new players come over and play, I'll tell you that, or making the game more watchable. Like you got to really enjoy the game and know what's going on to watch a screen like that.
Yeah. And I get that. I can respect it. But like once you start playing the game, it's not something you ever like look down on, like, oh, these graphics suck. And not only that, I would go so far as to say it's something that starts to grow on you of like, oh, not only that, but I actually don't want them changed. Like these are actually iconic.
Yeah.
This is an iconic graphic style and art style rather. And this is perfect. Like it doesn't actually need to change. Like this is just how it is. And my
better graphics don't equal better game. Straight up.
Example that I like to use is like when you look at a game like Minecraft, you don't go, oh man, these graphics are bad. It's just like they're supposed to be. That's the whole thing.
Yep.
Like it's fine. And I think similar to RuneScape, like it's supposed to be this iconic feel. And I've made the claim in WoW, because WoW retail has updated graphics for 20 years, consistently over and over and over. And to me, and I don't want to hate on the modern art developers, because I think the art is beautiful in its own way.
Right.
But to me, it just doesn't feel like Warcraft anymore. I think it lost the
Retail
art style, the IP of like, I'm playing Warcraft, World of Warcraft.
It's awful,
this
guys.
is what it's supposed to feel.
It's a mobile Disney game.
Yeah.
And I think retail actually lost that slowly over time.
Gone.
And when you play classic WoW, it still
Same
has
thing
it. Like,
with
it feels like you're
RS3.
playing WoW, and it's like cool.
RS3 doesn't even feel like old school RuneScape. It doesn't even look like it or feel like it or anything. And the graphics might be better, but they're also worse. And that's the exact same thing that happened to retail WoW.
Like I want to feel like I'm playing WoW. This is the universe I grew up playing in, and I would actually like warn against like the classic developers to do too many graphic updates. Like it feels good that way. And then the tick system when you first start playing feels janky. It feels like man, why can't we just have this fluid? Like this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
But the more you play, especially I think in PvP, the tick system really is what makes the game beautiful, because you have that 0.6 seconds to make the gear swap. And if you don't time it right, then you have to wait till the next 0.6 seconds, which can get you killed, right? Yeah. And it's like, you have to time these things offensively and defensively. And that's kind of what the whole game hinges on. And I think without that tick system, it loses some of its beauty.
Yeah.
And
yo, I like that. I like that. Graphics can't carry a bad game, but a good game can carry bad graphics. W.
So these, and like you said, it was almost a happy accident. Like, I don't think the developers originally were like, oh, let's make the ticks 0.6 seconds to give players a half a second to think about their next move. It's almost like a turn-based game, but happening rapidly, like a rapid turn-based game is what it is, really.
Yeah.
And I don't think they did that on purpose. There must have been like 2002 coding, janky coding, and now it's just a happy accident. It's a cool thing.
Yeah. Sorry, we got a question right here. Koi Boy says, what do you think about the entry why do you think the entry graphics aspect is important? I'm curious. I personally think if you don't enjoy the art style, you can't appreciate it initially, you will never become a long-time player. Who cares if good players have their settings on low detail? HD 117 isn't good either. I think that it's important to get new people to try the game, to have the game look appealing. Otherwise, if people see a game that it's not visually appealing, then they will struggle to generate new players. However, how a game looks is not what retains long-term players. So if the game is good, it will retain long-term players, and if the game looks good, it will acquire new players more rapid than a game that doesn't. So RuneScape, in a sense, doesn't have a lot of new players coming into the game, but it has a lot of long-term players because the game is good. And that's basically what I think of that.
Yeah, I saw I did some research on the whole like tick system of, you know, trying to figure out when players found out that it was running on 100 BPM. And the game developer, Andrew Gower, he didn't even he didn't even confirm that the game was running on, you know, every 0.6 seconds until like 2008, which the old school servers are based on an August 2007 backup. So all the way through that, no one even knew, like, on this system that it was 100 beats per minute or anything. So it's super cool, like, seeing just what kind of
100 BPM
was that came from that knowledge, like, over the.
Wait a second. Why have I never thought of that? You could put on a 100 BPM playlist and just be like a god at RuneScape if the beat lined up with the server tick. It's like doom 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 doom. Like, you could just be a god at the game like that.
Years, because even after people found out, it didn't even mean much to people until we had old school and had RuneLite and plugins to help, and you know, it opened up just this whole, you know, realm of possibility for playing the game. But I totally know exactly what you mean for the art style too, for retail. In my recent video, I actually just shamelessly insulted the RS3 character models. Since I said,
let's see. I lost my train of thought. That's how you tick manipulate your skills for hours. You just throw on 100 BPM. Dude, that might be the new tech right there, boys. Why are you rushing Inferno, brother? Just take it easy with the game. Why are you telling other people how to play? Got him.
You need to update these now, because they've talked even themselves about updating the player models because they just don't look great. So it's, you know.
So something interesting about art is when you try to create hyper realistic art, so mimicking real life, it tends to age rather quickly. And when it's digital art, right, like it tends to just go out of style very quickly. And like you see this with games that were trying to mimic reality from like 10 years ago, like a Battlefield from like 10 or 15 years ago. It's like you look at it and it's like, oh, this is already completely out of date.
Yeah.
But you see a game like that's on its own complete trajectory. It's not trying to mimic real life, like a game like RuneScape or a game like WoW, where 20 years later the art style was just as good as it was, because it's not trying to be
Classic WoW is so good, man.
It's its own style. And
Yo, you guys know what I've realized over time with MMOs is that the closer or the harder that they try to be realistic, the less I like it. I always thought like I would love graphics once they got close to real life, and I hate it. I hate like mist and like shadows and like haze and things that are like applicable to real life in a video game. It just doesn't make the game better. And then not everyone can play because you need a better computer, because it's like Unreal Engine 5.5, and then it's just like you can't render everything, and then it's just like your computer overheats, or you can't play with your friends because they don't have good enough computer. And it's just like, dude, it doesn't make the game better. It makes it worse. Like having good graphics is actually like a counter selling point for me now, in a weird way. Like it just doesn't make the game better, and I'm almost turned off by good graphics now.
It ages really well. Like that's the key, right? It like, and 100 years from now, it's still going to have that same iconic feel, because it's not trying to be this 100% a realistic thing. Whereas I believe, like, if you're trying to make retail into like looking like real people, that it's just going to age really poorly, right? Like 20 years from now, it's just going to look crappy. Like you're, you know, it's
definitely,
yeah. So that's kind of where my head's at with it.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad, you know, MMOs like classic WoW and old school have, you know, a very distinct identity to their character models and just the assets in the game. It's I mean, you could take an asset out of either game, throw him on a blank white canvas, and people will be able to identify what game it's from, just because, you know, it has its identity. So yeah.
And I think the way to do it, if you do want to make it a little crispier, a little nicer, is the way you know, there's the HD setting, GPU setting rather,
GPU
in RuneLite.
Yep.
The GPU setting, in my you know, sense of the style, it retains the style. It looks maybe a bit sharper. I think that's fine. It's like the GPU hype style, maybe a bit sharper. To me, that doesn't bother me. And so in Classic Plus, what I wouldn't mind, and this is one of the things we voted on, is like an HD toggle, an option. You can have it on or off. The player decides, and you could have the graphics maybe a bit sharper, but it would still be the same style of art. That's not updating the. Maybe
you could toggle like Cataclysm graphics if you wanted the characters to like have the Cataclysm detail and stuff, and the buildings, the textures, the texture update, but you never go full retail ever.
Models, it's not making them smoother and move different, and the animations and this and that. It's literally just,
you feel any burnout? Not yet.
Update if you want to make it a little more HD, right? Like that's different to me.
Now that you mentioned that, I think because I played through Wrath Classic, and then when Cata Classic, like it turned into Cata Classic, there was an update, like an optional update for like HD graphics that was a ton of storage space that you needed. But I was like, I want to see what this is. I had no idea it was going to make the game look as different as it did. Like it felt like retail suddenly because of what they did. I don't know what exactly they did, but I turned it off and I was like, okay, there's the game I remember. Like it was that different. So it's very weird. It's a kind of a blurred line of, you know, what to change, what to not, like what kind of process they should do. But you know,
that's why I think the toggle is huge. It has to be an option. Like even with the GPU setting in RuneLite, you could turn it on or off. The player can choose, but like forwarding everyone's graphics is something they never asked for. That would be a red flag, I think.
Definitely. So there's been this this big kind of expression statement that's been thrown around like crazy of progression matters in old school RuneScape. It's kind of like this this justification for WoW players coming over to try old school. You know, I don't know if it's just a bunch of old school players shouting it or what, but everyone's basically saying progression matters over here. That's why they're here. Progression matters. Is that something that you can kind of confirm or, you know, back up? Does the progression feel like it does matter here more than in any version of World of Warcraft?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer, right? Like it's one of the reasons a lot of us WoW players we're like, oh crap, let's try this. I guess I failed to mention that during the question earlier. Like, why did I want to try?
Mm-hmm.
So the way WoW does it is on the next big, like the way retail does it on the next big patch. Basically, like there's a new raid, and the new raid has all the new best gear, and you want to go to the new raid to get the new best gear. And it might sound like fine and dandy, but the problem is it wipes out everything else that you've done.
Right.
So the long-term collectibles in WoW are things like mounts, pets, and titles.
Yeah.
And you know, that's basically just how WoW does it. In terms of gear, you're replacing the gear every time there's a new tier. And there's no like real skilling in WoW, right? Like you have professions, but you could max it in a day. It's way different. It's more just like an economy thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, like in old school, the whole idea of I'm gonna do these quests, and in 5 years from now, like it's still like fundamentally there, and it boosted my account permanently, and like I'm gonna get this item, and this item is permanently gonna help me. Like once I get these. Okay, here's an example, right? Fairy rings are awesome because they help you navigate the world. Okay, so the way it would maybe work in WoW is you unlock fairy rings, and it's like, cool, nice, I have them. Then the next WoW expansion would come out, and it would be in a new...
So one thing that I've noticed that RuneScape does extremely well that this does not happen in WoW is quality of life. You level up your quality of life. There is another hidden skill in RuneScape, and it is quality of life, and you actively are leveling it up all the time. You don't really level up your quality of life in WoW. You just don't. The only quality of life there is in WoW is a mount, and there's 2 of them, and you just go somewhere a little bit faster. I love unlocking quality of life. You're not just grinding for the gear, you're grinding for the quality of life. WoW needs that. Like, we don't have any quality of life, it seems, in classic WoW. And it's just like in a complete massive part of RuneScape. Like, I would argue that quality of life grinding is just as big as gear. Like, it has just as big of an impact because it allows you to get to places and travel and farm the gear and do things faster, like with the diaries and with the fairy rings and fast travel and gliders and hot air balloons and teleports and POH and just like and then making jewelry so that you can get to Ferox until you get the pool inside of your house, and then you make tabs inside of your house so you don't have to be on the regular spell book, so you can port to your house, or going somewhere without the Drayman staff, now you're +1 inventory slot. And like, inventory management is a whole nother side of the game that you don't have to deal with in WoW really, unless you're a warrior carrying a flash set. So like, it's just like a huge portion of the game that like WoW just doesn't have is the quality of life farming. And I've grown to really like it.
World, a new what should I say? Like a whole different dimension. So you can't use fairy rings anymore because they don't exist in the new world. Now you have to unlock new fairy rings or a different system similar to fairy rings, say like a spirit tree. So it would be almost like if Jagex was like, okay, we're going to release like a whole new area where everyone's going to go. What's the new area they released somewhat recently? The newest one? Varlamore. It would be like if Varlamore didn't have fairy rings. It would be as if you couldn't use them. And not only that, it would be like if Varlamore had all of the best gear, all of the best quests, and they were so good that for a new player, you'd want to go straight to Varlamore. It would be like if a new player from level 1 needed to basically go straight to Varlamore.
Ooh,
ignore
that's retail WoW
because they don't work anymore. Ignore all of this stuff, and then all the old.
Yeah, he's describing retail WoW, guys. And retail WoW, you only use one part of the map. Everybody goes there. It's all of the quests that you need to just go into the raid, and then you immediately start spamming dungeons and raids until you get the gear, and you can only do the raid once a week. That's WoW. That's retail WoW.
players that took a break were like, wait, what happened to my game? All this stuff that I unlocked no longer matters, right? So that's the big complaint, that all the WoW players are like, this sucks to be undercut every time there's a big new patch. Everything we worked for gets rug.
Sounds like a joke. WoW has a lot more players than RuneScape though, and a lot of people play and enjoy the game.
And I can see the frustration. Now, I do want to say there's pros and cons to each system. I don't want to say that one is completely better than the other, although I must admit I like RuneScape system better, to be transparent. I will argue on behalf of WoW just for a second, or the way modern WoW does it, rather, like retail, is it is nice when you take a break for 6 months, all your friends are playing the new content, and you can hop back in and play with your friends.
This is the best part about retail. If I ever want to go back to retail, I know all I got to do is start at the beginning of next season and I'll be just as far along as they are. That is the only good thing about vertical progression. And I think it's great that WoW has one vertical progression game and hopefully one day a forever horizontal classic version that we can play forever. We can try out the vertical one and see how it is and then go right back to the forever prog horizontal version. It's the best combo.
Basically right away. You can like just get back in and be like, all right, guys, we're all going to be in this new zone. It's a soft reset, kinda. We're all going to be back together. We're going to hit the new raid together. We're going to do the new dungeons, and we can just we all haven't played in years. We're all just going to hop in and like do the new content together, and we're going to get geared up, and we're playing together. And just to compare that real quick to RuneScape, I was about a month after all my friends in RuneScape. And all my friends were hitting like moons and barrows, and I'm like, oh, that looks fun. Or like they were hitting what's the twin bosses, the red and blue?
Oh yeah, like the fire giant or the giant bosses, whatever they're called.
Royal Titans.
It's like a mid game thing that I
How does Jimmy not know what Royal Titans is? Jimmy, we gotta talk.
haven't even done myself yet, so I've seen everyone else do it, but I haven't done it. Yeah.
So there's a bunch of stuff that all my friends were doing in RuneScape.
God dang it, Jimmy!
I couldn't get there. Like I couldn't just skip to it. I had to earn my way to. Like you have to get strong enough, right? I'm playing Iron Man.
Right.
I can't skip to that. I'm not strong enough, right? So
Jimmy's playthrough of RuneScape is so drastically different than mine. It is hard for me to relate sometimes. I don't know what he does.
I need the grind. So one of the things in RuneScape that one of the things is like I couldn't play with my friends because they were just ahead of me, period. And I couldn't do the content I wanted with my friends. Technically we could play together, right? We could role play in the city. We could go, PKing, and we're playing hardcore, a lot of us. So I mean, we had limited options, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like you couldn't just skip to the new content with your friends. So that was like the real con. But having said that,
well, you can skip to the content with your friends if you play a main.
It's a good trade-off, right? Like having your progression matter forever is awesome. And Classic does it. You could argue Classic is actually a little more horizontal than you might think. And this might be a novel idea to RuneScape people kind of listening in, but in Classic WoW you have 6 phases. You have Molten Core, BWL, ZG, and AQ and Nax. And you do have real reasons to continue raiding the old raids. So Molten Core is that first raid. Jimmy, you did it with us. And it has items that you want even in the end game. Like it has Thunder Fury. Like tanks want that, like no matter what. Like a rogue would want that, like no matter, right? And you have
I would say a main is like what, 40% faster than an Iron Man, maybe more. So yeah, it's accelerated. There's like 7 skills that you can level up a lot faster if you have the gold, of course, to like buy stuff off the exchange. Maybe like 100% faster. Maybe it takes about half the time on a main. On a new account with no handouts, maybe it's not that much faster. But once you start having gold to use on the Grand Exchange, especially past Song of the Elves, main gameplay will definitely accelerate faster than Iron Man.
Have things in BWL that a mage wants, like the mind quickening gem, like no matter what. So you generally most of the time will continue to raid a lot of these raids all the way through and go back to the old content no matter what. And when you're leveling, like you still have reasons to get those items from the good quests. You don't want to just skip them. So like you could make a real argument classic WoW is pretty horizontal.
Being a main would not have helped Zaryu catch up to YR. Yeah, it probably wouldn't have. Like, it might have. Like the only way Zaryu would have caught up to us is a main with handouts, right? There's no way that Zaryu would have caught up to us. Like, I mean, if he was playing 5 hours a day for 5 days a week, if he was doing like 25 to 30 hours a week, because like five Zaryu days is 2 Joker days. Maybe 1 Joker day, actually, because Joker plays hyper efficient. Yeah, personally, even if it's 20% faster, Zar definitely needed that 20%. I don't think that the Iron Man route was necessarily for him at the time when he started. I kind of wish that all the WoW players that are behind would like catch up, but like it's in a grand scheme of things, like they can get full Moons gear in like 2 months. Like from a brand new account, you could get full Moons gear in 2 months and then you can do all the raids. So 2 months in a grand scheme of like in RuneScape is like no time at all. So that's why a lot of people say there really isn't a rush. And it's because this game takes years. Like in a timeline of like 2 to 3 years before you have a lot of the max gear. Like what's 2 months? You know what I mean? In 2 months, even a new account can get Moons gear and come to raids and play with you. So it's not that big of a deal. Like Zar would have got to Moons and would have had gear and could have raided with us probably by now, even if he was on an iron.
Not as horizontal as RuneScape, but then retail in my mind is like pretty much completely vertical.
Yeah.
Right? New expansion all the time, wipes everything you do. So I would say like retail's as vertical as it gets. Classic WoW is kind of in between, and then RuneScape's like almost like as horizontal as it gets.
Joker's been online for 17 hours today. I don't know what to say about it, guys. And it's not even like 17 hours of he's just that guy, man. It's 17 hours of hyper efficient gameplay of min-maxing. He's very like methodical about his routine and how he spends his time in the game. I mean, he's a world first leveler in classic WoW. That's how he enjoys playing the game. I don't enjoy playing the game how Joker plays it. I could never do that. I have to see a goal and then go after that like now. Like, what do I need to get into the Inferno? Okay, I'm degenerating ranged into 94 mage, into Desert Treasure, into Ancient Scepter, Muspa. Like, that's how I have to play. And it's like, okay, I need to do this herb run so that I have supplies, and then I need to do rune crafting to this so I have that. And as long as I have that goal of what I'm going for, I can keep my sanity. But if I'm just like staring at the XP per hour thing, and I'm like, all right, I can do this skill, then this skill, then this skill, I want to make sure we're getting this much amount of XP per hour, like that is not how I enjoy playing the game. So like a lot of people are like, Sard, why are you rushing Inferno? And it's because if I wasn't rushing the Inferno or going for the Inferno, then I wouldn't have my goal. I wouldn't be able to trick myself into doing all of these things that I have to do in order to get there. That's me enjoying the game, is seeing if I can do Inferno in dog-ass items. That's me enjoying the game, guys. And a lot of people are looking at me like, why do you enjoy the game this way? Enjoy the game like me. Stop being yourself. And I'm like, dude, you guys got to chill, man. This is how I play every game. It ain't going to change. I'm just being myself. This is me expressing my identity through my gameplay. Right? And some people can't seem to understand it, but like that is what it is. And Joker expresses himself, through his gameplay by never going to sleep.
And I really like that horizontal model. I really enjoy like I'm doing something once, then now my account has that kind of forever.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also I guess it's very telling seeing that everyone who's experiencing the game for the first time, we've had many years, hundreds of updates put into the game, both mid game, end game, everything. And every single WoW player trying the game has made a pit stop at multiple 2005 updates, like Fire Cape, Barrows, 2006 Fairy Rings, like you said. Those were all systems that were put into the game 20 years ago that are still necessary pit stops on everyone's journey.
Is Zombie still playing? We actually have a video to watch today of Ompi talking about why he doesn't play RuneScape anymore. So if you stick around for about another 30 minutes or so, we can listen to him talk about that.
So
that's right.
It does just kind of show, you know, the structure of how everything was thought about. You know, nothing is unnecessary, nothing is irrelevant. I mean, there are some things like old mini games that serve literally no purpose anymore. But you know, that's a whole different thing. But there's not too much of that.
Do you think it's a coincidence that we're losing players once they get to the Red Prison, or is that a normal thing? Because I feel like right around that time is like when I started having some internal thoughts. I definitely started having some internal thoughts in the Red Prison.
So yeah, it is really cool kind of seeing
Red Prison, the Iron Man kill shot
presence of progression being it's a good system. I'm glad that it's highlighted it, because it was one of those things I never really thought about before having that comparison to WoW. That
I really hope Savix, Moose, and Triumphant and all these guys make it out of the Red Prison, man. I hope to see them all on the other side.
You know, it was kind of brought up by the WoW guys.
I think the idea...
Joker said on his stream today, he went back in the Red Prison today for fun because he missed it. What the heck is this guy on, man? He's built diff.
Is in Classic Plus, we want all the content, like you just mentioned in RuneScape, to still be somewhat relevant. Like in Classic Plus, if we have a new raid that just makes all the other ones irrelevant, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, that's terrible. Like,
also, sorry to keep pausing the video like a react, Andy, but I might start going back to the CG as well. I might start doing like 5 runs a day to maintain gold supply on my iron. I might do it like towards the end of the stream because I'm running out of gold. It is what it is.
You should still hit 60 and want to get in the Molten Core. Right. And then once you do Molten Core, you can move on. But like, if you can just skip to the newest stuff and skip everything else permanently, that's awful. I think pretty much everyone
We could get a salad.
Who wants Classic Plus is on
Shiro
on
with the 2.
there.
Wait, Shiro, thank you very much for the 2-year. I have very few 2-year subs in the channel, yo. Thank you very much, Shiromar. I've been streaming just over 2 years, boys. So some of the guys that were here when I had like 12 viewers, we got to give them special shout outs. Thank you, boys.
These things to still matter. You know, you can have new content, but you still have to do the old content to get there. And then even when you're in the new content, you still might have reasons to go back. Like RuneScape has, what's it called? Like logging, green logging, right? You're trying to do get absolutely everything. And then you have all of the achievements. What are they called in RuneScape? Like the combat.
Yeah, the combat achievements. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's still reasons to go for all the drops and then all the combat achievements on the old stuff, and then you still need to do the old stuff to get to the new stuff. So it's like it all matters, and that's great. That's great.
What I actually have a question about just when it comes to Classic WoW. Are there certain dungeons that, you know, on the way to level?
Were you crashing on Noob Raiders or something in OnlyFans? No, in OnlyFans, I was I viewed myself as an expert of the game, and I tried to aboba people and people didn't like that. And it's because I gave like unwarranted advice to Tyler 1, and then from there it just kind of snowballed into people not liking me. And I realized that you shouldn't aboba people unless they ask for it. And that was like a life lesson that I had to learn, and people started calling me Sardaco. And so I really matured from that experience, from messing up in front of Tyler 1, who had like 40,000 viewers at the time. And it made me seem like a bad person. And a lot of people thought I was a bad person. And I had to prove to everybody that I'm not a bad person. I really enjoy helping. I just helped at the wrong moment. And it was tough. It was tough because I had to deal with a lot of people calling me a bad person for a long time, and I still deal with it today. I very often see in other people's chats, I hate Sardaco. I'm glad he's gone. He was such a douche in OnlyFans. And I'm like, wow, I tried so hard to be the helpful person, and it turned me into a bad guy. And I couldn't understand it. And I do see it now. And there's a reason why my close circle of friends, the people that actually know me, they like me, they love me. I've heard them say they enjoy spending time with me. And I enjoy their time as well, like with Savix and Zaryu and Triumphant and a lot of these guys in the smaller circle, like Jay, Moose, all the guys that have come over and played, Ampi, Sony, all these guys that know me, who I am, would say that I love Sard, he's a great person. But like people that don't know you will judge you off of a clip that they've seen, and they will say, I hate that guy. And that is a side effect of being a streamer, where lots of people can potentially hate you off of a short clip where you had a bad moment. And I try to tell myself that, like, it's not about what they think. Worry more about your smaller circle than what everybody thinks. And it kind of helped me, keep my sanity through going through that big deal of like the whole Sardaco thing in OnlyFans. And so I've grown a lot as a person. I don't aboba people. I try not to aboba people anymore unless they ask. And I am trying to be a more positive person in general. And I think that that's great, because I've always been the kind of person who would rather be like, I would rather banter with people like me and Shobek. Like I love Shobek, and me and him have kind of gotten to that place where we can banter now. But I used to banter with people before I got to that friendship level of where me and Shobek are at. And that made people see me as kind of like a troll or a douche or dick or whatever. And it really wasn't that. Like I was wanting that interpersonal, that close relationship with those people. And I would want them to say something back, because I've always viewed like giving someone a compliment as cringe. And as I get older, I've had to realize like it's okay to give people compliments. Like it's not cringe to say, hey man, you did a really good job. That was a great try. Or like it was more like me showing friendship to somebody was kind of talking shit to them. And I had to realize that I'm the only one who sees it that way. And I had to like reflect on myself and just grow as a person and get better at that and try to be more positive. And it's definitely something I still work on, guys. It's definitely something I still work on. Is that the Zar Pika dynamic? Yeah. So I watched Zaryu into Peekaboo for like 2 years before I became a streamer. And I always saw how they bantered back and forth. And I think that also reflected on me. Like, oh, if you want to have like a close relationship like Zar and Pika, you got to kind of talk trash back and forth to each other, and it's funny and you bounce that off. But they have like an unspoken agreement with each other where like they won't bash anybody else but like that guy. So Zar will always be the butt of a joke for any Pika joke, and Pika will always be the butt of the joke for every Zaryu joke. Like Zar will never make fun of somebody that has low DPS in the raid. He'll always compare them. Hey, you have better DPS than Pika. You know what I mean? That's that they are each other's butt of the joke essentially. And Shobek is mine. And I'm Shobek's. If you go to Shobek's chat, he's always making fun of me and we can bounce it off. And I love that. I love knowing that I could make fun of Shobek on my stream and I could call him afterwards and be like, hey bro, how's it going? And me and him can have like a real conversation and ignore everything that we've said about each other, because it doesn't matter, because we're just boys. And I had to realize that you got to really build into that relationship in order to get there. And so that's why I used to be Sardaco, and now I'm reformed. And a lot of people are kind of asking me, what is this Sardaco lore? Like what is this about? And why did people view you like this? And I hope that people can forgive me for the way that I acted in OnlyFans, because that wasn't really me. Who I am is a very reliable person that you can always call on and I'll be there for you type of guy. But people don't view me as that. I don't know what they view me as now, but I am not trying to be whatever they viewed me as in OnlyFans, okay? So I'm working on it, boys. Thus, Sarniso was born. We're working on that. We're working on that. Shut up and play the game. Okay, sorry, I got on a tangent right there. My bad, boys. My bad, boys.
60 that, you know, maybe a warrior would really need to make sure that they stop there, do runs of it until they get gear, but then a mage could completely skip that dungeon in their journey. Like they never need to visit it because there's nothing for them there. Is there any dungeons like that for classes?
Yeah.
Yo, Evergan, thank you so much for the tier 1.
I think that would probably be a huge thing to address, like for a classic plus, because if you think about something like Barrows, obviously it's not a co-op thing in old school, but if a dungeon exists that has, you know, a level 35 blue best in slot for every class, it like creates the reason, especially in classic where there's not like a dungeon finder, of people to be going there, like no matter what time it is in the patch, you know, however long it's been, it's going to be a pit stop for people. So like, you know, it's going to be a relevant dungeon, no matter who's leveling up, sort of thing. If everybody needs to stop there.
Yo, Crop, thank you for the tier 1.
To their class, because I guess the class thing does serve as like an obstacle when considering things like that, because there are just items that will simply never matter because they can't matter for your class. Which, you know, RuneScape doesn't have to, you know, think about that sort of thing because everyone is every class on RuneScape. So I guess I never really thought about it that way of like, you know, a common goal for people, you know, through a dungeon. It's not always there for classic WoW.
What up, Pac-Man?
I think for classic WoW, like, so there's dungeons like Scarlet Monastery Armory, which is pretty much really, really good for like warriors. Anything that wears mail, like super, super good gear. For a mage, not so much, but the mage... So the mage doesn't need armory, but there is a quest that requires you to clear all of Scarlet Monastery that will give you a good reward, and it still gives good experience. So I think Classic does like I'd say it does like a pretty good job, but like not as good of a job as RuneScape with it. And like you said, having no classes really simplifies a lot. I think that's one of the reasons why RuneScape is so successful, is because it's really streamlined with how much content you can push out when you don't have to deal with 8 or 9 classes and constantly adding items for all these classes, balancing all of them, making sure they all work and like interact properly and like have enough tanks and healers for all these different dungeons. And
Trinity
and
system is tough to deal with.
Solo play of RuneScape is so cool.
So good, dude. Honestly, RuneScape, everything in this game can pretty much be done solo if you're good enough. I love that about RuneScape. I love that. It's like an extra challenge. Take people out of the group and see if you could still do it. And a lot of stuff is solo. It's just straight up solo content like CG. And I think it's fantastic, even though it's an MMORPG, that there's so much stuff you can do solo. I really love it.
You can just challenge yourself solo in, you know, in an Inferno Cape or something. And it's like, what a cool thing. I've always loved solo PVM or PvE. So like the combination of no classes and solo play makes the game very playable, right?
Yeah.
Very playable.
Yeah, the solo content is a huge bonus. I think it's something that, you know, leveling solo on classic WoW, kind of miserable, to be honest with you. As a person who doesn't have much experience playing like classic, going through and playing solo, just leveling like by itself, it's not the most fun thing to do. It is way more enjoyable to go in with other players, because, you know, if you have a healer, just suddenly your time is way less stressful. Even if you're not getting the maximum XP, it's like, okay, I'm not worried about every little pull I do to every little mob. You know, it's it's an MMO, so it's understandable of why it's like that. But you know, RuneScape, it's like a whole different thing. It's like half the game is playing as a single player account on an MMO, which is very cool that you're able to do that. It's, you know, pros and cons to that, but I think this is a very well-known concept to RuneScape listeners. This might be a novel concept to WoW listeners, right? And I've had this conversation on stream where people will say, well, why do you want to play an MMO if you're just going to play solo?
And
Yeah.
it's a fair question, I think. You know, it's a totally fair question. But I think the answer is like, cause the reason I bring it up is because people ask all the time in hardcore solo self-found challenges. And it's like, I enjoy like just playing solo in an MMO, like, wow.
I do as well.
Think like, oh, I have to go to a vendor.
I love it. I love it when grouping up with people is optional. Like, it makes me feel like I'm not playing alone at any point in time. If I want to group up with somebody and do it, I can, but I don't want to do that all the time. And having that option there is great. Is a great thing. And RuneScape does that really well.
And buy this instead of like just buying it from the auction house or whatever. And it makes you think, kind of like an Iron Man. It makes you think about the game in a different way. But yeah, I think it's fun because you still see other people around you.
Right.
You can still be in a guild. You can still talk to
solo,
other people
but together.
and interact with them. And the cities are filled with people and they're running around. But then you're kind of like playing a solo RPG, but just online with other players. I mean, how awesome is that? Like, it's a fun thing. It's a weird thing to think about, but it actually is pretty enjoyable. So yeah, I've always been a big fan of like the solo content, like angle that RuneScape hits, and WoW has tried it, but it's definitely not quite the same, right? But it's definitely really fun. I like being able to just play the game and do it. And then if you want to play with people, you still can, you know.
Guys, do you think that they should change the name of MMO RPG to like MMO or MMBO RPG? Like massive multiplayer plus bots online role-playing game because of how present bots are in the game? I think they should add a B to it because it's not just players. There's also bots are like half of the player base too. So you're not just playing with players. It should be like, they should have to be like a disclaimer like, hey, there's also about 40% bots that play this game. And like, I think that it should be required to let you know before you play the game. Yeah, like at this point, it's like they're trying to cover it up or something.
Hit up Huey with a group of boys or whatever. It's like pretty cool.
Definitely. Yeah, I've always thought about the self-found thing in WoW, like how it would translate, because you know, with the whole like profession stuff, especially because it plays such an important role no matter what class you're in. Like you need more than 2 professions if you're doing self-found usually. Like you could get by, but you know, it's a huge roadblock for most classes, I would say, to, you know, on your way to max level sort of thing. And it's also like, if you're playing on a server that's all self-found, like if they were to make like a solo self-found server, then you're suddenly fighting for resources way harder than you would normally be fighting for resources in the system that WoW has. Like running around a route in the early levels to get ore would be a nightmare. Like it'd be terrible. So I guess it's just, you know, there would need to be, I think, some tweaks if they were to try anything like, you know, trying to make a more solo based content over there, which I think they do need to do for a Classic Plus thing. I think a lot of players do enjoy that solo content sort of thing. You don't need to wait for a group to get online. You don't need to worry about finding, you know, 4 other people to go do a dungeon so that you can have a chance of getting one item that you've been looking for. There's a lot of pros to being able to do it, but then also on the other side, there's that sense of community. The sense of, you know, working together with other players and having a friend group and meeting people.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
just to play devil's advocate, and you were about to argue this, or is I think one of the things that has made WoW so successful is, and I should say classic WoW so successful, is that your success hinges on the necessity of others.
Right.
You need that healer in a dungeon or you can't do it. So now all of a sudden you need a healer. That healer feels needed. And that's a good feeling for the healer, because it's like, oh man, this group needs me. Right. The tank feels that same way. The damage dealers feel the same way. It's like this is we're all necessary pieces of the puzzle here. And
is there a reason WoW has separate hardcore servers instead of it being a choice at character creation? I believe it's because the community asked for separate servers because of the griefers. Since all content is grouped and mostly all people are on the same server, like imagine someone goes and rounds up a bunch of mobs that's not hardcore and then dies on top of you to try and get all the mobs to aggro onto you. Like there was a lot of griefing that happened on the regular servers when we were playing hardcore. And it also had a heavy impact, yeah, on the economy, because the hardcore economy was different than the regular economy. Whereas, do you know what? Hardcores can still use the auction house in WoW. Maybe if auction house had been taken away from hardcores, then maybe it would have been a better argument to keep them on the same server. But yeah, it's not the same as RuneScape, I guess.
And I think that is part of the beauty of WoW, to be fair. And so I've learned a lot from RuneScape and comparing these games. But one of the things I've also learned is they aren't the same game. Like fundamentally, they're different games. So there's things that are awesome about RuneScape that shouldn't be in WoW. And there's things that are awesome about WoW that shouldn't be in RuneScape. And I think that it was one of the conclusions I came to at the end of my journey, or like closer to the end. It was like, these games can coexist, and you know there can be features that are like really successful in RuneScape but like shouldn't be in WoW at all, right? Like they wouldn't make sense going one way or the other. And that's what I was talking about at the start with, like, it would be so tricky to be a game dev. Like you'd really have to study this stuff. Like you really would, right? Like, holy crap, like this is a good idea but it just doesn't work in our game, kind of a thing.
Yeah, there's so many layers, there's so much depth to everything. There's a lot of consideration for every little I guess addition that you would try to be making, or you know, trying to translate a system from one game to the other, because their structure, like the skeleton of each game, is so incredibly different. So I mean, it's tough. It is tough to be a dev. I'll tell you what. I'm glad I'm not.
It is insanely hard.
I'm glad we just get to like lightly talk about it. Just like
yeah.
That's as far as we'll ever. You know, obviously we could make efforts to, like you did, like the you know, the polling things and all the ideas putting out there. But you know, we'll never be having our job on the line because we need to make a decision of like what to put in the game. Making a working system, it has to be one of the most stressful things ever.
Hey man, I respect the people that do it, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I really do. It's like being a dungeon master in D&D or something, like creating these rule sets, or it's like being an author of a giant novel that you're creating this world, and there's so many interconnected pieces. It's a hard thing to do. And like I said, I don't think I could do it. I think there's not enough respect out there from us gamers to the devs when they have such a hard job. I think it's really easy to criticize and be like, they messed up here, but it's like, man, they're creating like a world for all of us to live in and play in, and like, yeah, they come up short. It's just a hard job to really do.
It's brutal,
right?
Absolutely
it's brutal.
Yeah. Speaking of, I know you just mentioned that, you know, like end of your journey. Are you still playing old school at all, like right now?
Right now, pretty much no. I think end of my journey has a bit of finality to it that I guess I don't want. I think there is a real potential I play more in the future. And one of the things, well, there's a couple things that I like. One is all of the stuff I have done on my account, the progression matters, right? Like we just talked about. It's not like if I come back to the game in 2 years or 5 years or whatever I have.
That is true. He can come back and be right where he left off.
Will permanently matter. And that's awesome.
Just got a mining level.
It's almost like RuneScape's a game designed for people to be able to take breaks, quit for 6 months, come back and pick up right where they left off. And that's cool.
Love that take.
So I guess that's the first thing. And the second thing is, like, there's so many different ways to experience it in a novel way. Like hardcore really interested me, although from what I hear in RuneScape, like you're gonna die when you get to mid game, or like for sure you'll die in end game, but even like the end of mid game you're gonna die, right? Once you start doing some of the quests, right, and the end game quests, like like Dragon Slayer 2 and stuff, it's like you're gonna die if you go in blind, like anyone would,
anything
right?
going in blind is you're done. If you're going in blind on a hardcore, you're done. No doubt.
You're just gonna get one shot. You don't even know the mechanic, right? So anyway, I think there are like novel ways to experience it too.
To bounce off the, you know, knowing that your progress is mattering and everything, on the opposite side of things, and also as a kind of a excuse to come back at some point to try it, you know, there's like Gridmaster that just came out, and this is the first year they haven't done like an official league. But do you see yourself returning to try like a day or two of old school leagues at some point if they do another one?
Potentially. So here's my take on leagues, and my whole chat disagreed with me on this when I talked about it when I was playing RuneScape. So I would like to hear your take. But for me as a player, and this is just my mindset and my take, but for me as a player in RuneScape, when I don't have a main yet, when I haven't accomplished
I had the same take here.
the real deal yet, when I haven't done what I want to do on a main, I have a hard time justifying putting time into a league, even though I know the leagues are fun in themselves. And it's
just like, why am I going to go get Biss in another game when I don't have Biss in this one? I could not fathom doing it. I don't care how fun the other game is. I want Biss on this character first.
It's a nice break and whatever. When I don't have a main, I just feel like super unmotivated to be like, oh, let me just like put the main aside and play the league when I want to do so much more on the main account first, right? But I can totally see from long-standing RuneScape players that have
long-standing players, yes,
a lot, but they're maybe they're a little
that's when I would
out,
play.
Or maybe they have done a lot of what they wanted to do, and it's like, okay, let me play the league for a while.
Yeah,
get some unlockables on my main, and then get back to the grind. Like I totally understand why they're successful. But I felt like as a newer player, I didn't want to stop the grind, right? Like I didn't want to.
No, I totally get that. I totally get that. It's funny because when it comes to this topic, there is so many perspectives and so many different types of players that have the same mindset or complete opposite. And I actually in Gridmaster, I was playing it very casually myself, still am, and I, when I'm doing AFK stuff and there's someone else in game with me, I ask them, how are you liking it? Do you, are you playing a different count on the main game sort of thing? Just because I'm curious. And there's been a few players so far that have said, no, I'm not playing the main game. I only play seasonal. I never even made a main account. I only play seasonal, leagues and Gridmaster and stuff. So there's that whole side
people that don't have time to play a main
that only plays these dopamine inducing skyrocket XP versions of the game because they're like, I have a fucking job and kid, man. I don't want to do main account stuff. This is my chance to play RuneScape and experience the game in its entirety. Multiplied XP, cool perks to make sure I can kill the bosses I would have had to grind 100 hours to get to in the main game. So it serves a really nice purpose for a certain genre of player with, under certain circumstances. But also Sardaco, he shares the exact same mindset that you have, where he's like, that's XP waste for my main account. I'm trying to get there on the main game right now. Why would I waste time on a temporary game mode when I haven't even got there yet? And of course, there's also another side where it's there are people who are playing their main accounts, but they might not have the confidence to go and try the end game content unless they're given those perks to kind of introduce themselves to it. There's just so many different scenarios that players find themselves in, which I think is really cool that it does serve different purposes for different people. Again, it's optional. It's just a seasonal game mode. There's not too much FOMO there.
So that's what I really like, right? It's an optional thing. It's not like if you you get, to my understanding, you get cosmetics for the main game, right? Nothing required. Nothing that you absolutely need to do,
right?
But it's a fun side thing that you could unlock cosmetics for your main. I think that's really done right. I think there's a lot of ways to do it wrong, making it absolutely required.
10 minutes till Inferno, boys.
Forcing people to do what they don't want to do and stuff like that. So yeah, I
and
appreciate that.
There's the also for most of the leagues that they've done, all of the rewards that you get. Because essentially what they do is they give you a certain amount of points depending on how much you progress in those leagues. And then there's a shop in the main game where you spend those points. And those items, like the cosmetics, they don't serve any other purpose other than being cosmetic. They're actually tradable. So you can sell them. So it's an incentive for players to try the seasonal game mode. And if you didn't do it, you weren't around, you weren't playing yet, you didn't have time, you can spend your main account money buying it to have that cosmetic if you want it.
So that owns. I love it. I've been vocally against Blizzard doing. They've been doing the same thing for a couple of years now, where they will have a limited time event, but then you get something else already in the game. So I'm trying to think of an example in RuneScape. It would be maybe not something as coveted as like a fire cape. So I'm trying to think, maybe like a pet, right? Like a rare drop pet from. I'm trying to think of like something that would maybe make sense, like Rex. Like maybe like Rex drops a pet, right? Yeah, so say like Rex dropping his pet, and you got it, and it was like exciting. It was like a 1 in 3,000 or something, and you're like, holy crap, I got this pet.
Yeah.
And then it would be the equivalent of like the league. If you played the league, you would guarantee yourself a Rex pet.
Interesting.
On your main, you would get the Rex pet.
That's wow. That's wow.
I
Like
am
Legion.
crazy vocally against this, and I've made videos, tweets, talked about it on.
Wow, retail WoW does that, where it's like you earned that Rex pet. It took you 1,000 kills to get it, but if you go play this limited time event, you can have it in 2 days, and it'll follow you into the main game. And this will be pets that aren't even in the game anymore, like supposed to be symbolizing that you're an OG of this game. You know what I mean? And then that's why people get mad and WoW.
On stream, and I get hate on. I get death threats. People, oh yeah, people love it. People like that you can go and guarantee yourself all the rare stuff from past WoW and get it. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? This undermines all of the players' work, all the hours put in. Even if it doesn't matter to you, it undermines like the whole value system of the game to me, right?
So are you able to get that reward in the main game still the same way you've always been able to get it?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. See, that sucks. That's a terrible system. I hate that.
Well, what it does is it undermines the idea that you can, like, why would I want to farm anything then? I'll just wait for the leagues and get it pretty much guaranteed in 100 times quicker than trying to farm out the next thing. I'll just wait for the next league, right? And they call it remix. So they did it in Mop Remix. They're doing it right now with Legion Remix. And in Mop Remix, there was rare drop mounts that were like, I want to say 1 in 2,000 drop chance, and everyone that played Remix for a week could guarantee it. Yeah. And it's like, it was pretty heartbreaking for me, honestly, as a WoW player. I was pretty vocally against it. Like I said, a lot of pushback on my opinions, a lot of people death threats and this and that. RuneScapers all agree with me. For you guys, it's obvious.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a no-brainer, honestly. Like when you're describing it that way, it's like, no way we'd be cool with that. There'd be riots.
There'd be riots. Yeah, so I talked about it on my RuneScape streams, and all the RuneScapers were like, oh yeah, you're right on this, like for sure. But I talk about it to like a retail WoW audience, and oh man, everyone disagrees with me.
That's crazy, man. That's
it is crazy.
You cannot mess with retail WoW players and their mounts, bro. They will literally cut you over a mount, man. They are serious about this.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm very more towards the, like, okay, if you're gonna do a league, you put out a new cosmetic, a brand new one that's specific to that league, that you take to your main account to show, look what I did, this is new. Yeah. So for me, my criticism to Blizzard was, if you want to do this, don't use an existing rare item, use a new rare item. Yeah. And you put that one out, and then it's still fun, it's still exciting, but it doesn't undermine everyone's work on the old item. And I don't have to explain that to you or RuneScape players, that's obvious, right? But for some reason, I mean, like I said, a lot of pushback when I've talked about it on stream to more of like a retail audience. So anyway.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I don't think there's too many arguments for that would change my mind. I can't imagine there's like an angle there. So I don't know.
So a lot of content creators have pushed back, and I have openly said on my stream many times, maybe on social media too, I would love to chat to anyone that disagrees. Please change my mind. Yeah, I would love you to change my mind, because I don't get it. Yeah, like maybe I'm missing something. Get it at all.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's nuts.
But like I said, hey man, maybe I'm missing the point. Maybe I'm missing it. Like maybe I'm the guy that's just confused. I'm open to having my mind changed. If anyone out there can convince me I'm wrong. I did this little segment on my stream where I was like, just convince me I'm wrong. And I read about 100 messages, and none of them convinced me. Like they were all just, I think, poor arguments. But like I said, it's still an open invitation. If anyone out there like can convince me I'm wrong, then maybe I'll change my opinion. But until then, I think it's not a great feature.
No, terrible feature even, I'd say. Yeah. Cool. Well, I've had you here for so long, so I'll wrap it up with one last question. It's the most important question by far. So here it comes. What would you rate old school RuneScape out of 10?
I would say in genre, pretty much like 10 out of 10. I like maybe a 9, but like it's an amazing game.
It is. Yeah.
I was blown away. There was things that maybe I liked and didn't like, and whatever. Like I said, every game is different in its own way, and that's one of the things that I like about playing other games. It opens my mind and my horizons to what could be, and like, oh, this game did this really well, and maybe not this, whatever. But the reason I would say
Interviews with Zaryu
genre is because for a historical game to come out and say, we're going to put out an old school or a classic, but respect our traditions, respect what got us here, and only move forward if a strong majority, not just a majority, but a strong majority of our community wants it. I think that is done right. I think there's a lot of respect there.
Definitely.
I really respect that they respect it, and keeping true to those
Respect,
traditions,
respect.
but still adding in content and improving a game that's been around for so long is awesome. So I don't know how else I would rate it in genre besides a 10 out of 10, or maybe like a high 9 or something. Like it owns.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a really, 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 really fun time. I still, WoW is my favorite game of all time. I'm not gonna, deny that. I love World of Warcraft.
That's your home, man. That's your home. It's like, yeah, no doubt.
What I said on stream, and people like this or didn't, but
Dark Vanilla.
I really think WoW is like my favorite game of all time. But I'd say RuneScape does have better systems.
Yeah.
I really do. I really think RuneScape has better systems.
Yep.
So I think if WoW learns from those systems, it could be even better. I think RuneScape has done a lot of the systems better, right? The polling system, respecting like the horizontal progression system.
Did Zar say why you didn't continue playing? Did he get into that? Did we get into that earlier? Was it just viewership? Mainly viewership. I think he lost too much of his audience. His audience didn't want to watch it.
Make like a ton of sense, and like respecting tradition in that sense. I think RuneScape has like a better ecosystem, a better progression system, better systems, and that's what makes it such a darn good game and case study.
Everyone in his group quit too.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much that.
Yeah. I hope a Classic Plus comes along, because I mean, at the end of the day, comparing old school to classic vanilla, I mean, you're just comparing a 2005 2006 backup of original WoW to an MMO that has had 12 years of actual updates and fixes and community polls. So it's just two very, very different things to compare, and hopefully Classic Plus will one day be able to be in the same position of old school, of be like, look what we created, look at all these things, these systems that we've integrated that keep that classic WoW feel. So we can only hope for the best with it. I really hope we see something down the road. It'll be awesome.
I've made the claim, and a lot of people disagree, and kind of piggybacks on what you just said. Like, so RuneScape 3 comes out, it's still like their cash cow, from my understanding, from Jagex. Like, they actually make more money, even though less people play, from RuneScape 3. But like, way more people play old school, right? And it took a while for that to be the case. And it's like, I made the claim that if Blizzard does Classic Plus right, in 10 years from now, we could see more people playing Classic Plus than retail, right? Because there's just like more interest there
for sure
on a massively broad level, right? On a global level of like how many people have ever played WoW. You have at least
also classic WoW is more like 30-plus-year-old friendly than retail WoW is. And a lot of people ain't going to be looking to endlessly push Mythic Plus and Mythic raids in their 40s. And 10 years from now, MMO players will be 40, because we're all 30 right now. And there aren't new players coming in to play MMOs. It's just the same audience. And we're all getting older, and we're all going to want a classic MMO.
100 million by like some guesstimate. So it's like, if you get a fraction of those interested in Classic Plus, it's like, it's going to be it could be way bigger than retail. Now, I think similarly to Jagex, I do think retail could still be Blizzard's cash cow. Like they might make more money off of retail expansions and retail store and retail mounts and pets and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just like in RS3, to my understanding, it's similar. But I think the player base, I think in Classic Plus could actually be like potentially way bigger if it actually exists in 5 or 10 years from now. So we'll see. I'm optimistic and excited, and I think RuneScape really opened my eyes in a lot of ways. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I hope it did. I hope it opened some eyes up for a lot of creators to voice.
I actually wonder to myself, I wonder if Zar would swap if viewership didn't matter. I wonder which game he'd be playing right now. Like if he could get 10K on OSRS or 10K on WoW, I wonder which one he would play right now. I feel like that would be a good question. He might not want to answer that.
It's their ideas and suggestions, and I hope they do see, if anything, like if there's one thing they see from old school, I hope it's the community polls and seeing the dev interaction and seeing how successful that can create a great environment for new players, veteran players, just kind of solidifying a healthy MMO player base. So that's the one thing I hope they see. And I think the rest will.
That's what I said, bro.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's all they need to see, and I think the rest will fall into place if they take that away. But Zaryu, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. It's been great having you here talking about all this stuff, man. It's been a long time coming to have some discussions about this stuff because through the years, all the back and forths with reactions and just, I mean, it's mostly been me talking and then me listening to what you have to say about it, and I haven't been able to like have an actual conversation with you about it. So this is awesome. This is really cool. But yeah, thank you so much for taking so much time out to talk with me about it, man.
Hey Jimmy, that was great. Thanks for having me on. An absolute pleasure as well, man. That was almost an hour or 2 hours, and I swear, I feel like we could talk about this for at least 10.
We absolutely could. I have had to force myself to move on to the next topics because I'm like, I have so many things I could say about this, and
Bro, same, bro. I could yap all day about it. So yeah, awesome, man. Likewise, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again for having me on. Dude.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much. A huge thank you again to Zaryu for taking time out of his weekend to talk with me. It was probably one of the most enjoyable.
Shout out Zar, man. W's in the chat if you enjoyed that interview.
It was a pleasure. All of his links are down below. Subscribe to his YouTube, follow his Twitch, drop in, say hi to him, let him know you listened and what you thought. Go support him in any way you can. But ladies and gentlemen, this concludes this podcast mini-series. Never done anything like it, so I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. I didn't really plan on these discussions becoming this, this format, this podcast thing. It just sort of came to mind once I started talking with everyone and realizing how fun the conversations are. So I hope you guys got some enjoyment out of just listening to these discussions, because I feel like they're really
I love
fun to
these,
have,
man. I love these. I love Jimmy's interviews, man.
Where these guys come from, how that translates to their old school RuneScape experience. Just getting to know these guys a little more, because they're all great. It's been awesome that they've all came over to the old school community, even just for a little bit. So I'm super glad that they were all willing to talk about their experience and just share some of their thoughts about their home-based game. It was awesome. These interviews were all for the sake of a singular chapter in an upcoming video essay on my main channel, which will be up in early November. Depending on when I post this, it might already be up. I don't know. We'll see. But I sincerely thank every creator who did this podcast thing with me. It was very sporadic and short notice, so I'm super thankful that they were able to, reply so quickly, get back to me, and schedule something. But I think that's all I've got for now. Hopefully I'll be doing another podcast thing here soon, even if it's just me talking. I definitely want to find some time to do that. So, yeah. Thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate that. Let me know what your thoughts are. I hope you guys.
Hell yeah, Jimmy. Love that freaking interview, man.